Amanda, you do a damn good job as mod. Indeed, you are. You're a very great mod. All right, so we have one other person who may be showing up. We shall see. Well, but okay. This is, you guys have been here awfully quickly. This usually does not happen. It takes a while to get your asses together. But good. I'm glad your asses are now super glued.
I like to be punctual.
We're locked in. We're locked in.
You know what I mean?
We're ready to go.
I show up on time. Unless it's work, I show up on time and ready. If it's work, I'm like 10 minutes late. I'm like, fuck, why am I here? God damn it, man.
I'm just putting out the sneaky symbol for me, and I appear like the Dark Knight.
Thank you, all. And Sam the Human's here. He's another mod. Thank you all for being around. And Spoon is taking the title of head mod. Is that what you're doing, Sneaky?
I'm just claiming it. I don't care if it's democratic, right? I am the state.
Sneaky move right there.
Okay, there's a power vacuum here, and I'm filling it.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Well, I love
all
it.
you other mods, you're beneath me.
I would love to see a fight, like a battle for the title.
The Rat Dog Uprising.
Especially if it involves like trying to earn my love. Those are the best kind of fights. All right, but anyway, thank you so much, everyone, my audience, for being around. We'll just get started. We might have an extra person joining us, but we shall see.
A little Carlsberg tonight, guys.
This is the Small Council, which we have Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have a great group of guests here. I'm excited to get started with them. All right, so we'll start by introducing them. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. That's important, you know. Right. So we'll start with Captain A. Jones, tier 3 sub, not a mod. Captain Jones, thank you for being around, for being part of this community. I very much appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I just got off work. My feet are fucking aching. But, you know, other than that, I'm doing fantastic. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation. Thanks so much for asking me to be a mod in the past. That meant a lot to me. You know, when you did it, I was like, what? And then now you're rescinding the offer, so it feels a little weird. I'm just seriously, sub to Prime. Prime's for Prime. He's fucking awesome. I love your show, dude. I think it's the best on Twitch. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it out loud right now. I'm not pandering either. I'm not a tier 3 sub to nobody else. What the fuck? I pay that money because I believe in the quality programming that is being brought to us. So I think that y'all should do the goddamn same. And with that said, you can catch me, Captain A. Jones, on Twitter and Twitch. I got brand unity.
All right. Thank you so much for the kindness. All right. Next, we have Sneaky Debate Man / Dancing Spoon, who is honestly, I think the best title for him is my English henchman. Sneaky Debate Man, how you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. I'm just here to represent the oppressive, tyrannical mod regime as both leader of the mod union and head mod, self-appointed head mod. I'm just here to shit on chatter nerds, regular plebs. Right, they're just beneath me, absolutely beneath me. I do have another mod here in the thing who will be supporting all of my positions today. We agreed this beforehand.
Teaming up on us, man.
To
Already.
oppress the chat.
Love it, love it, love it. Gotta let them know, right? Who's in charge, right? Like assert dominance. That's how you do it. Thank you, Sneak Debate Man. Next, we have our next mod, Nathan Galang. Nathan, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and I appreciate being invited. My throat has been sore for the past few days, and I'm very concerned. As some of you may know, I live in Florida, so you know how it is here.
Florida man. Florida
I'm praying
man.
for you. I'm praying for you.
But overall, if it's COVID, I haven't felt anything else really besides sore throat, so hopefully I'm doing good. And even if it's COVID, here I am right now on the Prime panel, grinding, committed, that grind Sigma mindset, and also finally, I did this little thing when I was on the panel last night. I was editing it, messing around. Watch this.
Pretty sus.
Pretty sus. But yes.
Bogus.
Back to normal. But yeah.
Okay. That's a
And
thing that happened that we
that's
all
a thing.
experienced. Okay.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much, Nathan.
I'm so sus right now.
I'm so sus right now.
Next, we have a new person to our closed panels. We have Jason Society, who's been on our open panels. And I wanted to see if he was interested, and apparently is, because he's here. Jason, how you doing? And tell a little about yourself.
Hi, I'm doing great. I just actually jumped into the Twitch community and doing all this stuff a few weeks ago, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago now. Basically, I'd been pushed for a long time to do this from a friend of mine who had been hearing my political takes on things, and he's like, hey, you got to get out there and do this. He asked me for 2 years to get on Twitch. And he's like, I know you'd fit in. I watch all these guys, like, you do great. Like, and so I said, I finally, after 2 years of coaxing and pushing and going through the motions with this guy, my friend Mike, who's also my mod, I jumped in, and I jumped in feet first and said, you know what? If I could go out and play music in front of a few hundred people and sing and do the thing, then I can come here and talk about my political ideas with you guys and, you know, hopefully change some hearts and minds. So that's why I'm here, and that's what it's all about.
I don't know. This might be tougher. People don't call you stupid for playing music, right? Or even playing bad music. They
Oh
don't call you
no!
stupid.
Well, my music is very, very politically tinged. So yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. All right. All right. Thank you so much. Next, last but absolutely not least, we have Brencho Box. Brencho Box, I'm always excited to have around. It's I send Brencho Box a lot of invites, right? And it's only a small number of them that he accepts.
That's true, but you know, I mean, that's true. You do send. Sometimes the invites you send me though are the day of, and it's like it's Saturday. I'm out. I gotta do something, you know, with some people, something like that. It's already happened. It's done. So nothing I can do.
Don't expect,
Your fault is what I mean.
organization.
Your fault.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
no,
just saying.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
But don't expect better of me. But still.
No, don't. No, me neither. You send them early, it's same result.
But buddy, thank you for coming through and being part of this. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I kind of had just a pretty good day. I was show you this, taking her outside. So she's all this one back there. She's all tired. And otherwise, had a great day, man. I've just been doing some homework and hanging out and getting ready for 2 more days of the exact same thing. So that's it.
All right. So we'll get started with the topic, and the topic is: should there be any limits to responding to the impending climate disaster? Okay. So as many are familiar, the U.S. has been hit with a few hurricanes, and not just us. I mean, like everyone, like lots of places have been hit with something fucking terrible. But it's on top of mind because that's the latest thing that's happened. There was massive flooding in New York, right? In fact, some of our friends here in this channel have been affected by that. One of the people who were supposed to be here is dealing with a power outage. So yeah, this is a thing that's happening. And we saw what happened in New Orleans. 16 years to the day, apparently. Another hurricane hits after Hurricane Katrina devastated and just like re-devastated the city. Luckily, the levees held this time. But this is a thing that's going to keep on happening, right? They talk about, and we're just talking about hurricanes for a moment. We're talking about storms that are once in a century. Just like Katrina was once in a century, 16 years later, here we are again. We've seen New Jersey get hit by Hurricane Sandy, and just like wiped out the coastal front. Just homes gone, I remember seeing those images, right? Planes flying over, and it was just like it was like a forest that was clear cut. It was just gone. And what happened after that? We just kind of rebuilt exactly there. Oh, but we put them on stilts, so we're good. We're good. So might not be the best idea.
Painful.
And then there's we the wildfires that have happened on the West Coast, right? So bad that that one time it looked like the skies of LA were literally on fire. That one time that was fun.
I was there in San Francisco. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Looked like Blade Runner.
Exactly, and in speaking again of health effects, right? The smoke there was just so bad that like it was dangerous to go outside. It's dangerous, and that's in fact that's happening now in
Not
some other
based.
city. But it was dangerous for people to go outside. So a friend of the channel, who was in that area, really could not leave their home because like they have weak lungs, and it really could have killed them. There are a myriad of these, right? Mudslides in other countries, right? Especially ones with like less infrastructure, they'll have like mudslides, and this just keeps happening, right? And so we have to respond. There are all kinds of responses we can have. Some are better than others. I'm wondering, how far should we go? All right, so let's start with introductions to the topic. So, Captain A. Jones, your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. So generally, how I view climate change is it's the existential threat to mankind. It's the one thing that if we don't have a World War III, it's going to get us. So, like, we probably should not worry about the financial cost. With that said, we have a ton of people who, like, barely think that global warming is a thing or, like, that it's man-made or that we can do anything about it. And so it's very tough to try to convince those people that this is in fact happening because they're just like, oh, it's just a storm. Storms happen. But then you try to explain like, oh, it's a 500-year storm, but it's happening every 500 hours now. Like, oh, maybe that's not a fucking good thing. And this is not normal. They're not interested in actually doing anything about it. If I were to be like made president, what I would love to do is, or what I would love to see is like FEMA essentially giving a lot more aid to direct financial aid in the form of cash payments to people who are affected, and especially to get them to move out of these affected areas, because places like the Ninth Ward are probably not going to be able to exist in the future. That's just going to be underwater. I don't know how that building the levees is going to work against a Cat 5 hurricane. I don't think that that's a viable solution. I think the viable solution is going to be to kind of like move back inland, essentially. You're not going to stop the rising ocean. So anyway, I'll leave it at that and let other people get in.
Thank you. All right, next, Stinking Debate Man.
Yeah, so I think you do a very good job, Prime, like prefacing how real of a danger this is, right? We keep thinking like, the Earth's going to turn into a fireball, or like, the sea's going to sweep us up, and like we're all going to be living underwater or whatever. But like, no, we're already in it. Like Australia is on fire, America is being blown away, like people are drowning, people are dying, like it's happening already. Like climate refugees are just up and up and up and up and up. This is already like a very, very serious problem. And like at the moment, we're just about managing it because we've got all the fucking resources of the world to throw at it. But this problem is that we won't have these we won't have these resources to deal with it very soon. And I think to put it down to a philosophical perspective, right? You've got the lives of the humans now. Let's say like take it to a real extreme. Like we have to kill 99% of the people on the planet, right, to stop climate change. And it's obviously ridiculous to have to do that, but even in this case, like we're comparing the 99% of people alive now to all the people that will ever be alive ever after this point. And even at that, it's still a very easy decision to make. That no, there isn't really any limit to what we should be doing here. However, in saying that, the solution to climate change is not as scary as that. Not even close to being as scary as that. Like we can talk about this more in a minute, but like the solutions are actually very feasible, very doable, and the only thing that's really stopping us is just people just not doing it. Simple as that.
Okay. Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, I think with climate change, it's a huge concern. We're seeing unprecedented disasters now, as you mentioned earlier, and you know, places that don't experience flooding, like a lot of places in the East Coast, they're now experiencing it, and they should be expecting it. You know, I mentioned like I'm in South Florida. I am concerned with the potential disaster. Hurricanes are very normal here, except like, I mean, what happens when it goes beyond what we're expecting? Um, Luckily, I think we kind of have infrastructure to deal with it, but I don't think that'll be enough in the long run, especially if these storms get worse and worse. So, my approach to dealing with it, I'm a progressive. I like the Green New Deal. I think that we also need to deal with the real people putting out the carbon out there, which is corporations. I'm sure many of you heard the 100 corporations doing 70% of the emissions. Many of them are state run throughout a variety of countries all around the world. A lot of them are private as well. If we really want to lower carbon emissions, we need to deal with those countries, or excuse me, those companies, and we need to find a way to make them lower it. Now, a lot of those companies are energy companies, which makes me believe the way we do it is by pushing green energy as hard as possible, and it's frankly the only option. Yeah, and my final point, I think when looking at how we address climate change, the most important thing is to not really hyper focus on the individual. Like, recycling is always good, but ultimately, like I said earlier, if we want to deal with the problem, it's going to be with the big corporations. Um, first principle bias is very upset. No, this isn't a political partisan position. This is for not dying, and
Based.
I think it's the only option we have if we want to continue living on this planet.
Okay. Next, Jason Society.
Yeah, I think that we need to do whatever it takes. Right now, I think that a lot of the blame, or a lot of what we see a lot often in like some of the media messaging and things that we're getting, is that this is an individual problem, right? And I mean, I think that fossil fuel companies and major manufacturing industries have done a really good job at selling people on the idea that if we just stop using plastic straws, that's going to solve all our world's problems. That's absolutely not true. And, I think it's really disingenuous that these companies deflect the way that they do. And I think when you're, like Nathan was saying, 70% of the world's greenhouse gases are from 100 fossil fuel companies. Like, we need to tackle this where it lies, which is in the industries. And I think they should be heavily policed. I think that I really don't think that there is a lot that we shouldn't do when it comes to climate change. We should go as far as we possibly can. We can even talk about the farming industry and what needs to happen with that. Should we still be raising cattle, or should we be moving to like lab generated meat? Vertical farming, there's a lot that needs to be done. And I think that we need to take every opportunity to protect, our climate, because it's, we're, like you were saying earlier, we're seeing it real time right now. Fires all over the place. I mean, hell, another industry that could be, that should be looked at is the energy industry, like PG&E in California, who isn't updating their lines and is causing a lot of these fires. So, even if they aren't particularly doing something in their development of electricity, their lack of building up their infrastructure is causing problems as well. So all the way around, I think we really do need to examine every possibility. I think we need to heavily police these industries that are polluting the environment. I think that should be kind of a cornerstone of where we start, though. Shift the responsibility from the individual. Yes, we can do whatever we can to correct it with our own actions, but a lot of those actions could also be driven by policing the industries, and with them making changes, that will also affect change down the line through the consumers.
Okay. All right. Next, Brento box.
There we go. Sorry. I feel like we've talked about this, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in the past, and we'll talk about it in the future. And I mean, my critique is always the same. It's like climate change is like the symptom. It's not the disease, and the disease is waste. Like the disease is consumption, and it's that we're using too much for nothing. Like I mean, like just think of like how much gets used for a film. Anytime someone makes I mean, it's less because of CG now, but think about how much if you have to make a building or make a set and make all the costumes to make people look like they did 50 years ago, so that you can have a film, so that the person can kiss the person at the end, or the guy can kill the bad guy. Or, we need to get a Harrier jet. We need to rent it from the fucking military so that we can shoot into the building so that it looks cool at the end. How much fucking like time and energy and money does that take? And how much like pollution and heat gets sunk into the ocean because of that? 100% too much, period. That's it. There's no reason for all of that bullshit. And that is the reason why we're in the fucking situation that we're in. So people are like, well, how are we going to get new forms of energy? New forms of energy to do what? To make new fucking bullshit fuck movies where we blow up our buildings and bullshit like that? Like, what are we using our energy for that we don't have enough of it, that it needs to be cleaner? We live like consumptive lives where we just go to the movies and drink ourselves to health problems. And I mean, that's just one facet of it, when you're not going to like a fucking monster truck rally or some shit like that. And so that is the energy problem. That's the climate problem. That's the fucking like environmental problem. So yeah, like, we need some new cleaner energy, blah, blah, blah. No, we don't. We have plenty of energy. We have more energy than we even know what to do with. That's the fucking problem. We don't know what to do with it. We have way too much fucking energy. We have way too much fucking everything, and we have no purpose. So that's my take on the climate problem, I guess.
Okay.
Brother Bear, thanks for the follow.
All right. So before I introduce the next guest, let me go through
I will owe a dab for that.
The journey here. One, it took me forever to come up with this fucking topic. So I started sending out invites late, but then I sent out a whole bunch of invites, and then usually that means it's going to be a struggle to fill up the panel. But then everyone said yes, so I'm like, okay, great. I usually only have 5 guests, but now I have 7 guests. But I just do it all. And then 2 of them dropped out. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're back to where we were before. And then Sunny asked me, "Oh, I want to be on." I'm like, okay, sure.
So I can leave. I
no,
can go.
no, it's great. I'm just like giving you guys the rundown of of the saga that has been my day today. But I'm so happy to have Sunny here because, as I told her in our DMs, she's relentlessly awesome, and I love her so much. So Sunny, one, introduce yourself to the audience, and then 2, tell us your introduction here.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ugly Pie. You can also call me Sunny if you don't want to call me ugly. Prime refuses to. I'm really interested in this topic. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, and there's a lot of like climate action and like and like land defenders like up here. Like it's a huge topic up here. And it's really in the forefront at the moment because Canada just called a federal election, if anyone knows. And I'm also about to start like my final year of my like sociology degree at the university here. And just like last time that we were in classes, I took like this like grad level seminar with all these grad students that was like the sociology of climate change. And the amount of speakers that were brought in that have like done the work, that have written the books, that that lectured to us for hours, that like don't actually have any solutions is horrifying. really horrifying that so many of the experts, the people that they bring in to teach the students trying to learn about this, are still like, you guys just need to be more tolerant of one another. You know, that was one of the really big things that we learned. So I'm here to represent the radical environmentalism. And I guess I'll bounce off of what
That's right on.
Brento just
I'm
said
glad that
about
people are tuning
us
in.
having too much energy, was it? Because
Yes.
I agree that we totally like consume way too much. 100%. We can cut that shit down. There's so much. Especially that there's there are certain things built into the system that kind of keep us consuming, you know, too much, you know, producing, making money, blah blah blah. The thing that always comes to mind for me is planned obsolescence. If anyone here knows about that, is like, you know, it's like, yeah, where you get into things about like right to repair and blah blah blah. You know, it's why you gotta replace your fucking fridge like every 3 years or something. You know, this kind of crap. That it, you know, the things that are manufactured like nowadays get manufactured so shoddily or even I mean there's many examples of this. You know, you think of Apple and like how they made their iPhones stop working like well with new updates, you know, that it's planned in, it's built in there to get people to keep buying them. And then the ones that
Yeah,
are
you're
no
right on that.
longer,
Right
like,
to repair
literally
was huge
unable
for
to be
farmers. That's such a
used,
big thing. John
thrown
Deere
out,
was screwing these
gone.
farmers
There's
for
all those
over,
resources
what was it, like
gone.
over 50 years or
Absolutely.
something.
Like that huge thing. But I think the conversation about energy, about like creating new energy, isn't about like we need more. It's about we need to switch where our energy is coming from. Like we need to switch it from fossil fuels to green energy, or like in my opinion, I'm super for like nuclear energy. But yeah, it's about that, because we do need energy. Obviously, we have to power our lights, we have to heat our homes, we have to run our refrigerators, blah blah blah, right? Our medical equipment, all that stuff. We need energy, but we need to get it in some way that isn't pumping emissions into the atmosphere.
I have lots to say. I have lots to say about
Cool.
this. Okay, so what Sonny and Brento are hitting on here is called degrowth, right?
Mhm.
So like the idea that we're like living way beyond our means and we need to sort of like scale that back a bit because it just consumes too much. I don't know, I do actually agree with this position. This is like a very sort of like first world approach to this. So I read this giant paper, and it's like only 40% of the world's emissions come from like the first, like what we'd consider the first world developed economies, whatever the politically correct term for it is nowadays. Yeah, the global north, right?
Yeah.
Only 40% of our emissions come from that. And there's two very important statistics that we have to note here. One, total emissions, and two, the rate at which we emit, or, you know, our emissions are shrinking. So generally speaking, in the global north, the rate at which we emit is going down, and it's increasingly going down. Right? So like our emissions are shrinking, and they're shrinking quicker than everywhere else, right? Which is very important. Although we still emit more per person, it's because we live far beyond our means. Like what we are getting more efficient in our uses of energy, and our energy is becoming more and more green more quickly because we have the money to invest in green energy, like hydroelectric, nuclear. Right, nuclear plants are expensive. Right, to build a nuclear plant, very expensive. So the issue doesn't specifically become the global north. Like, for example, like we always say China, oh, they emit so much, blah, blah, blah. You know, America, oh, they emit so much, blah, blah, blah. But that's not really the issue. The issue is the rest of the world developing. So, for example, we look at like Egypt, right? Egypt has a huge water shortage problem at the moment, right? Because the Nile is becoming increasingly unusable due to pollution. And as a result, the amount of water they're having to use to farm, to use their agriculture, is becoming increasingly inefficient, right? Because their standards of living are going up, thus they require more materials, thus they require more energy, and because they can't have more efficient technologies, they can't invest in this. All they're doing is consuming more fuel, like more energy. It's becoming more and more difficult to fulfill these needs, and thus it's becoming more and more inefficient. So while they emit less per person, they're growing in their emissions per person, whereas the global north is shrinking in their emissions per person because it's becoming more efficient with their energy usage.
Yes,
So what we really need to do is invest in the global south. We need to provide them with renewable technologies, build their infrastructure. We need to literally just go over there and give them nuclear plants, give them hydroelectric dams.
So for what?
Facilitate growing standard of living.
But for,
so,
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but so they can do what?
So they can stop using diesel generators to get power, and that's part of the reason that we're having issues.
I guess I feel like you're dividing the problem between like ours is decreasing and theirs is rising, and you're like, so it's the problem is going like this, and I'm like, well, the problem is that we have so much energy that we use for nothing of value. That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. The problem.
Yeah. So like I said, so we need to, like in the global north, we do need degrowth. Right?
Basically, he's being an apologist for the oil industry, and I'm not understanding that. Why is he so in like, what the hell? We know that fossil fuels are horrible for our environment.
We're living like
doesn't matter how much you use, we should not be extracting fossil fuels.
To our means.
Don't you? Sure. But don't you think I think the more energy is going to create more thirst for more energy. I think you're like, well, we need to give them cheaper, more efficient energy. It's like cheaper, more efficient energy for everyone all the time is a good answer. But the problem is that for what? Like, what do we need all the energy for? Now, I'm not saying we're ever going to stop needing energy, but I'm just saying it's like,
well, if it's green energy and renewable, what does it matter how much energy we need?
It matters because it also fuels our consumption.
Right, but
it fuels how much we use it and for what, and for basically no reason.
If we have green energy, then we don't have to worry about that element. Now, as far as the consumption goes, yeah, we can talk about Amazon using too much packaging. We can talk about going to fast food places where they overpackage food or things like that. Sure, but that's not going to change the fact that we need energy and that our use of energy is going to grow, especially when it comes to like computing power and the things that we're doing technologically.
I mean, if you think about it from the fact that's like, okay, well, we're pumping greenhouse gases because we're using energy, and so we're also like the same energy that we're using fuels the bulldozers that bulldoze the Amazon, that cleans the air that's not being cleaned now, and so we're having more fires and stuff. It's like more energy is more energy is more energy is more energy. So why are we once it's cleaner and it's greener and it's abundant and it's renewable, do we build more bulldozers to bulldoze more of the fucking Amazon?
Well, I would say.
Oh no. We
would
that.
say that.
No one's encouraging that. I don't
give
think.
Nathan the chance, and then we'll go.
Sure.
Yeah, so I would say, and this is coming from my social democrat consumer capitalist mindset, I personally don't mind a lot of energy being used, and I think this goes to my original point, and I think me and Brento Box are going to disagree a bit. Climate change is not an issue of the individual. Okay, so like if a bunch of people in the global south start using a bunch of energy, that wouldn't be bad if the energy that they're getting it from is from green resources. So the reason why I'm bringing up the need for green energy is that when you look at the 100 companies,
Matahari,
I mentioned earlier that they were energy companies, not just energy broadly. Most of them
hit that follow button for us. We're trying to hit 50.
Coal and oil companies.
We're almost there.
Chinese coal.
Love to have you with
Saudi
us.
Arabian oil company, ExxonMobil, Coal India, etc., etc., etc. So we know, and I'm sure we can all acknowledge this, that the things that are being pushed out, that are putting out these carbon emissions, is coal, is oil.
Oh.
If we get to a point where we don't need coal and oil,
I
think that would significantly lower the carbon emissions, perhaps to net zero, and that's the goal. Not zero, net zero. And by that point, if we have green energy common or nuclear, I have my concerns with nuclear, but I'll admit I haven't done much research on it. Just kind of knee-jerk concerns. But if we're in a point where we have green energy, sure, people are going to consume a lot as countries develop all around the world. But I don't think it'll be a problem if the way we're doing it isn't pumping coal and oil, burning them into the air.
Yeah, I generally agree with Nathan. Actually, like I don't think that it's the energy use is not the problem. If we're if we're talking specifically about
it's been a while.
global warming, we're talking mainly
Hope you're
about
doing well.
Methane, CO2, the culprits of global warming. And so like if we want to do solar panels, well then that's a good way to avoid using fossil fuels. Then we do need to talk about like getting our entire economy onto this, because
I'm
right
doing
now we
great.
run on fossil
I've been getting
fuels.
pulled into all these really
Can't deny that.
big panels,
trucks,
so it's kind of exciting.
Trains, everything runs on fossil fuels at this point. And so we need to shift that over, and that's where I really think the government has the only this is only solved, and it's the only way that this is capable of happening is the government getting involved. And like right now, I think while there's so much panic in society and around the globe, and all other governments are devaluing their currencies along with us, we're doing the same thing. It's keeping the dollar actually relatively strong against the other basket of currencies. So right now we can make a big investment. I'm talking trillions of dollars to start shifting, making investments into all the things that I just mentioned, the good stuff, electric cars or electric trucks, really, basically shifting our economy into this more electric mindset. Also, like building nuclear plants. I love nuclear. Nuclear's great. And the problem with nuclear is that everyone, I'm for it, but
what do you do with the roads?
I would personally vote if it was put up to vote for a nuclear power plant close to where I live. I would vote for it, but I don't think many people are like that. And like, I live in San Francisco, and like we have this fucking initiative. It's come onto the ballot multiple times that we have 3 golf courses in San Francisco, which is a 7x7 island, 3 golf courses. And there's been an initiative to take 1 golf course down. We'd still have 2 golf courses. 1 golf course down to build some fucking low income housing there. And no, we just never vote for it. Oh, so liberal, San Francisco.
Is it the good golf course?
I swear to God.
And
this is yeah, seriously, it keeps getting voted down by the fucking so liberal people of San Francisco. I voted for that shit.
Actually, I think I'm changing my opinion. I think I agree with Brento, because like even if we like fulfill our energy needs through green energy, right? That's not going to stop us fucking bulldozing the Amazon for the industrial meat market, right? It's not going to stop us creating plastics, for example, which is a huge source of pollution.
Let's do it twice as fast.
Exactly, right? Like these things still require oil. They still require like deforestation. These are like contributors. Like I said, like the Nile, like the only point in which the Nile you can actually get water is from the tributaries. If you get it from any lower than the tributaries, it's just fucking unusable. And that's why Egypt is having like a massive drought problem.
Well, yeah.
So it's not just about like energy needs. It's like how we create products and how we consume products in general. Like, yeah, I'm afraid McDonald's burgers aren't going to be fucking like $4 anymore, right? They're going to be like 15, and you're going to have to get used to that if you want a McDonald's burger. If you,
You guys know,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I mean, totally. Like the price structure how we have it now, shit is way too cheap. That's why we fucking consume it. I mean, fossil fuel products and products developed with fossil fuels, whether that's like plastic or whatever, the fuel to run the trucks, etc., diesel. Like that shit, it's gonna be really tough. But I think like there's some really key places that we can focus on that are like the big culprits. The big like Nathan said, like 100 companies contributing to like what 70% of the emissions or some shit like that.
The issue with that is, like I mentioned earlier, like a lot of these companies, they simply can't reform. Like I said, like 60% of the planet's emissions come from countries which just don't have the infrastructure to reform, right? You said like, oh, let's hold them accountable. Like holding them accountable in this sense just equates to just turning the power off to like Ethiopia, just turning the power off to Nigeria. No more emissions for you. Sorry, you just have to live it like shit now.
Well,
right?
Well, I think the solution would be to either provide grants or subsidies to help these countries get up to par, and then if they aren't willing to do it, then yeah, shut the lights off. I mean, give them the opportunity, help them build up, and say, hey, we're with you. We're with you. We'll partner with you. We'll do this with you. But if you're not going to do it,
what we need is huge, and I mean like like unfathomably large investments into the global south in terms of energy renewability. Like I think the Paris Climate Accord has a section about it, but it's like 500 billion. This doesn't even scratch the fucking surface, right? China alone invested 2 trillion into green energy, right? 500 billion for the entire rest of the world is fucking nothing.
It's a drop in the bucket of what's needed.
I'm talking like
for sure.
30% of the entire world's GDP needs to be invested into green energy. I'm talking like tens of trillions.
So
we're
I
just not
actually
doing
really
enough. And when we have this money, we have this available, we can do this. We just choose not to.
And as far as somebody talking about plastics and packaging and consumerism that way, I mean, there's alternatives we can shift to. You're talking about deforestation. Switch to hemp. Hemp is an amazing product to use for any kind of industrial use. I mean, if we switch to hemp, then these problems you're talking about, deforestation, cease to exist. You can get 20 acres worth of lumber off of 1 acre of hemp field. You know what I'm saying? Like it's vastly better for us. So we do need to make some shifts in how we choose to manufacture our products and what we're using to manufacture our products. We have solutions. It's just a matter of whether or not industries want to use those solutions. DuPont has forever fought against the marijuana industry and legalizing marijuana for one reason, because of hemp, because it is a huge competitor for the plastics that DuPont produces. So you switch the materials that we use, and you're going to get what you're looking for out of reduction in consumer waste.
So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Like, I think like this whole thing about the Amazon creating a lot of trash and shit. Like, I think that's a separate issue. Yeah, like that's a problem. But let's kick that can down the road a little bit. I don't know. That's a separate issue, in my opinion. Like, yeah, like, okay, yeah, there's a big fucking patch of garbage out in the Pacific Ocean. That's a separate issue. Yeah, I guess it's all connected. Oh, intersectionality, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, whatever. Like, okay, you can say that. But, like, they're separate issues. And I think we should deal with them in separate ways. Like, and somebody was saying it, I completely blanked on who said it, but somebody was saying investing in other nations, giving out bonds to them. Like, one of the reasons that our borrowing in the United States hasn't led to a lower value dollar is in part because we've been giving a ton of bonds out to countries who want to buy our money and our debt, and buy our bonds. So we're actually offsetting a lot of the cost of our money printer go burr, and so like it would be a really good thing. We're incentivized to do stuff like that. We're just too fucking silly and stupid politically to actually do it. We're too deadlocked in the Senate. I mean, for fuck's sake, we just went through 4 years of Trump. Do I really need to say anymore?
Well, Exxon owns both Democrats and Republicans. You can't get anything done if both of them are owned by the same corporations that don't want to be policed or regulated.
Nathan, did you have something you want to add before? I want to make sure you have space.
I guess I'll say in response to that, like, I understand. I'm in agreement with Captain A. Jones. Like, I understand, like, the cutting down to Amazon and, like, the plastic problem is a thing and will be prevalent. We're still gonna, I imagine, even in society where we got most of what we wanted, we're still going to be using oil to make plastic products because we all love our plastic products. So, but that's the goal about, like, getting to net zero. We're not going to be getting completely rid of carbon, nor I don't think we'll be getting, at least in the early half of our lifetimes, completely getting rid of live meat. I hope maybe later on we'll get the lab grown stuff, hopefully. But until then, we're probably still going to be doing farming. But I would say, like, if we could have, when I'm looking at climate goals, I think dealing with 100 companies is perhaps more. It's difficult, but it's perhaps more reachable than broadly, like, getting rid of the need for plastic-based products and so forth. I would say That who knows? Maybe technology is gonna improve so much we'll be able to grab the plastic in the middle of the Pacific and launch it into the fucking asteroid belt or something. But hopefully, I would say like when it comes to the practicality of trying to get the reforms that we want, uh, I think in the long term, we've been in 40
Not
years of
based.
neoliberalism. We're seeing the shift already, and eventually progressive and more progressive ideas, left-wing ideas, are going to become the where the Overton window's at. So hopefully, when that arrives, even though people say we have no time, unfortunately, we got to work in the long periods of time. Hopefully, when that happens, then we can start seeing these reforms.
So can you imagine one of my Cheetos bags orbiting the sun? That sounds amazing. But I do. I'll let you guys go on. I do actually want to push you guys on this to see how far you're willing to go, because it's so easy to say that. There's no limits, but what is that actually the case? But Jason, did you want to say something?
I had it and I lost it, so
Okay.
continue.
I mean, like I said, like it doesn't need to be a case of like we really need to push this to like an extreme. Like if it comes down to that, right? Yeah, like we still should do it, but like saying that we should invest into like less developed countries with like less developed technologies is like it's like not even like an unreasonable thing to ask for. Like I said, the Paris Climate, I just looked it up, right? Since 2015, they've been giving 100 billion a year to invest in like developing economies. So $1 trillion by 2025. Like, this is really nothing. It's nothing. Like it is becoming more and more pertinent that we do address climate change. Like, for example, I don't know how it is in the US, but in the UK, if you don't have like a way to address climate change in your manifesto, you're a joke. You're a fucking joke, mate. You're not getting voted in. Nobody's going to vote for you. It's ridiculous. So it is becoming more and more important, but like the actual solution to this seems to be swept under the rug. Like we talked about earlier, like, oh, don't use a straw because it's bad for the turtles, or, recycle because otherwise you're a bad person. It's like, well, it's not really the issue here. The issue here is like overconsumption coupled with like massively outdated technology and like people trying to like raise their standards of living as anybody would, while others just like live in absolute decadence.
One thing I wanted to...
like,
Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, I'll try to be quick. I think one of the ways we can hopefully see massive investment in green energy, like not just nationally but like globally, is by framing it politically as a way to create jobs and create wealth. And hopefully, it won't be easy. It's an uphill battle because you're going up against other big money interests. And again, this is like capitalist brain thinking. But like, if you could potentially say like, hey, if we have a green energy industry, we can way surpass China, we can way surpass Germany, and we should do it because we're number one and we can make a lot of jobs and a lot of money. I think that's an effective way of framing green energy, because you look at the way the right wing tends to talk about energy independence. They always frame it as, oh, we just want another pipeline, think about all the pipeline jobs. The way we got to start saying is, we want fucking solar panels. Think about all the solar panel jobs. You don't want a Green New Deal? You don't want those jobs. Fuck you, So, but
Right.
That's a way we can sell it.
I personally will pay more taxes to build nuclear plants in Africa. I'm absolutely 100% okay with doing that. I think absolutely everybody should be, right? If I have to pay like fucking like 30 quid more a month so that we can build nuclear plants in the global south, let's fucking do it. Everybody get on board, right? We're fucked otherwise. It's such a stupid thing to quibble over. You don't want to pay like this much more in taxes so that we don't burn to death.
One thing that would help consumption and waste, because that's something that I keep hearing kind of regenerate, is there's something Biden's doing right now that is actually pretty good, and that's in the right to repair, right? So half the problem that we have with consumption is we end up with products that we have to throw out because, say, Apple, they're proprietary. If you want to repair an Apple computer, you have to go through Apple. If you don't have the means to do that and you can't upgrade your computer on your own, well, you're hosed. John Deere is another one that does that with farmers. This is a huge thing for farmers. You want to talk about waste? We get rid of this idea that you have to go through these companies to repair your items. That's a huge part of it. I mean, it goes from upgrading your computers to being able to use your phones for longer, everything. So that's a big thing that is happening right now that is productive in creating less consumer waste, like Brento Box was kind of focusing in on.
So I want to dive into this idea about like investing into other countries to get like nuclear plants and stuff, because like, boy howdy, I think that sounds like great. But I'm really taken back, and like Prime maybe remembers this, to like a lot of the debates that have happened in this space about producing vaccines and talking about people, like, if we want to get that vaccine out there like globally, which would be a net good for everybody involved, you know, sometimes you have to, like, it would be a good idea to build factories and invest in like medical technology over in other countries so that they can produce vaccines there for their population, blah blah blah. Okay, so that was like a whole debate, right? And how many times I've heard the argument from conservatives that like, no, I don't trust that country to do it correctly. That so many times. That's just that like, I have sat here and listened to that a lot. And so that's the vaccine. Okay, that's a vaccine. Like, now make it a nuclear power plant that has.
The problem I have with nuclear is we don't know what to do with the rods, and we've already seen nuclear. What happens when nuclear reactors fail? Like it's pretty catastrophic.
Like, you know, the things that people know about nuclear power plants are like the worst stories.
Join Stella Artois.
And that, you know, I think it's going to be an uphill battle. I don't even know if we could win it, of getting nuclear power established like in North America, like to get that system like effectively running and divest from fossil fuels. Forget about getting like Americans, like American taxpayers, to be okay with paying for that happening in other countries. You know, like I think that's like a super great idea. It could like fix so much shit. Like that sounds like a great one-off. Like, let's do it. Let's save the world.
I'm a fucking huge neocon in this aspect. I think we should have fucking NATO going around being like, we're building a nuclear power plant here. Your energy grid's going to convert to nuclear. Deal with it. I don't give a fuck what you think about this. Okay, we're doing it because it's going to save the planet. If you don't like it, that's too fucking bad. Okay, we're going to have a NATO-surrounded power plant, and you're just going to have to fucking like it. All right? Too bad.
You know why that doesn't work though, right?
Why?
It doesn't work because it doesn't fucking work. Things don't work like that. You can't do that.
Why not? Let's fucking do it.
It doesn't work like that. Yeah. No, it's just fucking like,
that doesn't work.
Hey, why don't we just go around and fucking tell everyone exactly what they're fucking supposed to do and say fuck a lot, and then just fucking do it. And it's like, oh Jesus, why isn't the world working?
We got more people. We got more guns. We got more resources. We can fucking do it.
Until you don't. Fucking Christ.
But hold on, let me steel man Brento real quick. What he's saying is, sneaky debate man, all I've been hearing out of you is like a bunch of like let's just do the right thing, you know. Let's just do what we need to do the right thing. $1 trillion over 10 years is not enough. We need to be doing more. And I mean, yeah, we need to be doing more. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But like, here's actually my hot take. Maybe this is a hot take. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. Here's my hot take. I actually don't think we should. That doesn't sound like the right thing to do. And I'm gonna quote one of my favorite animes, Code Geass, where a character says something on the lines of like, it's not about the piece of land that you're on. That doesn't make you a part of that country. It's being on that piece of land. That country is in your heart, and being a part of that culture wherever you're from. That's something you carry with you no matter where you are. And so what I'm in favor of is allowing unlimited amount of refugees. Unlimited amount. I mean, I guess there would probably, and realistically, we would have to have caps on it, but I would love to see.
Wait, unlimited but capped?
All right, let's do China.
Okay, I said realistically because we have to deal with the Republicans. Okay, if the Republicans weren't a thing, then I'd be like, fuck, let them all in. All right, if they want to come here, let them in. We'll create whole fucking new cities with whole new economies. It'll be fucking great. All right, more culture, different foods. I love new food. Like
I hear you on that part.
Fantastic. And my overall point though, and the reason that I say this is because it's much easier. Like the problem with investing in third world. I don't know, what are we calling them now? Southern countries, I guess.
The global south.
South.
Global South, whatever.
Global South.
Okay. The problem with this is that they don't have even the basic infrastructure sometimes in like the more rural parts. Like if you think of somewhere like Afghanistan, like their cities, yeah, they have great infrastructure, but go outside their cities, a lot of it doesn't have great infrastructure. So we have to build the infrastructure. You know, that's like the fucking the backbone of all this shit. You know, it's not just building nuclear plants, it's building everything. And so fuck that. Just let these people into our country. We already have that shit. We already have the fucking technology to do it. We can train these people who are coming in to do the shit for it. Like, boom, they can build their own fucking cities basically in our goddamn territory. Look, Kentucky has like 500,000 people in it. Look how fucking big it is. Let some motherfuckers in there. I'm just saying.
It's just made me an honorary American. I'm very proud. Yeah, but no, fuck this. Like, this is stupid. Let's do what China does, right? I'm not a China stan, right? I criticize China on pretty much every other topic apart from this one, but China's really fucking good on green energy. They make more investments, they contribute more research, they fucking invest more into it, they fucking invest more into other countries into it. China's fucking great at green energy, actually. You know, China is like a quarter green energy. All of their energy needs are now a quarter green energy. America, 12.5%. You're literally doing half as well, right? Europe is like 17%. So I'm doing, like, me over here in England, we're doing shit as well. Okay, we're doing fucking trash. China, I don't care, to be honest, if China is going over and debt trapping a country and then building hydroelectric dams there. Okay, right? The debt trapping and like the shit they do there and like the colonialism, that's probably quite bad. But the building the plants there and like fucking like upscaling their infrastructure. Why aren't we doing that? Why the fuck are we doing that? I don't give a fuck if we have to debt trap a fucking country so we can build a nuclear plant there. Let's fucking do it. It's the end of the world otherwise.
Okay, so let's cover this because now we're getting to it, right? So Dancing Spoon, sneaky debate man here, says in our Twitch chat, I'm unironically a liberal left neocon, right?
Well, I'm a libertarian left neocon.
Libertarian left neocon. Okay, yeah, right. But you got some liberal tendencies here because liberals tend to abandon democracy the moment it becomes inconvenient for them, right? So it's like, oh, what's the answer to climate crisis? Hey, let's listen to China. China's got the good
China's
idea.
Doing really well. They are doing really well.
China is doing really well. How is China doing really well? How'd they manage to do that?
We don't have to do it that way, but they are doing really well.
No, we don't have to do it that way. No.
No.
Okay.
No, a better way. Just like them, but better.
Like I said,
Yeah,
like, we should just go over there. We can go over and just offer them, hey, do you want a hydroelectric dam? For free, we'll just build it for you. And if they say no, well, fuck you, we're going to build it anyway. Okay? Most of the time, they're just going to say yes.
How many of these countries are really going to say no to having the energy that they need in order to function? Who's going to be like, no, screw that, I don't want energy?
No, actually, there might be. No, specifically, hold on. You brought up a hydroelectric dam, specifically, right? And yeah, they actually might. Because what's happening in China, right? In China, they're building those dams in areas that destroy local areas where like villages are at. People have been there for fucking centuries or whatever, right? And you're saying, oh, let's just go there and let's just dam it up, right? Let's just destroy your entire way of life or destroy your village, right? Because that might be a thing that happens, right? And where's that love of democracy, huh? So immediately, authoritarianism.
Right? We can build some new houses, all right? We're building some new houses, you move somewhere else, right? It's the end of the fucking world if you don't accept having this hydroelectric dam here.
But I think there's a way to work with those communities and those countries to find a reasonable solution. Like maybe the hydroelectric dam isn't it for them. Maybe there's another means of electricity that we could place there that will help them. You know, that's more catered to their way of life, their terrain. You know, the environmental conditions are what their main resources are and how they get those resources out. You know, maybe there's a way through that of let's take a look at, okay, well, what do you have available to you? I mean, it's like handing somebody a shoe that's one size and you don't know if that's the size of shoe they wear, you know, so you've got to cater it to each region, and it's having those conversations through diplomacy that I think you can make those inroads.
Okay, so let's start pushing you on this. Go ahead, Brent. You go first.
It's just, I mean, this is just, we're sitting here having this conversation, and like Sneaky Debate Man, I'm sorry, man, because it's just you're the one saying this stuff, so it's getting to me. You're like, we'll go and we just offer them this, and then if they don't take it, we can say fuck you, we do it anyway. And it's like that's not even a fucking conversation. You're like you're jerking yourself off, and this is stupid because that's unrealistic. That's not how shit works, and I'm like, there's no point sitting here fucking listening to you talk about how like we'll make people do all the things that we want them to do, and if they don't, we'll fuck them. It's like, oh great, hey, that's great, man. Hey, that's very good. No, that's not how shit works. That never works, and that doesn't work that way.
It can work like that, but it can.
You know,
it can work like that.
You know, I
just
think
do that.
We can use other systems and other levers. It doesn't have to be by force. We have economic resources that we can use to do that too.
Yeah, most of the time you can go over there and be like, hey, look, we built you this entire like new village with like nice houses, and we're also going to provide you with free energy. Like, doesn't that sound great? And if they're like, no, we'd be like, well, you know, fuck you anyway. We're going to make you do that.
So
it's not like we're giving a bad
another
deal.
word for
that's called war, by the way. That's war.
It's not war.
Yes, it is war.
What do you think fuck you means? What do you think fuck you means?
It's war. Just say you want to go to war for it. Just say it.
Yeah, fuck
Don't jerk yourself off pretending that you're some kind of a humanitarian.
I'll tell you.
God, you must really think you're like this fucking like the best guy in the world.
I will.
What's gonna kill all these people and fuck them over because it's better for them? Oh, it's not war though.
That sounds like eco-terrorism.
And by go to war, our pretty boy model here means like I'll send your ass to war.
What I mean is Xbox controller. They're sending drones to fucking houses. I gave you the opportunity, all right? Now get out of here. Go and enjoy your renewable energy now.
So after this only works the one time, right? After the first time when someone refuses, and then you take military action against them, right? Then everyone else knows that this isn't an offer, right? A goodwill offer.
Everyone knew to begin with. Only Sneaky Debate Man was confused. He thought he was goodwill. Everyone else knew he was full of shit.
Like what is this?
Done.
Like is this like do you know what? Actually, we should respect their cultural views and just let the world end instead.
You should just not pretend that you're being a nice. You shouldn't show up with a dumb fuck smile on your face and a gun behind your back. That's it.
I don't
but that's
care
what the
about
British
being
did.
nice.
It's very.
That's what the British did.
He's just following along.
I'm coming up, and I'm saying we can do this the nice way, or we can do this the hard way.
We can do this the nice way. We can do this the hard way.
I need a depression pizza.
We're gonna do this the nice way or the hard way, or the planet's gonna end.
Hurry up and make your decision, chip.
That's it, right? Like my offer is, you can have a nice new house with unlimited energy. Or you can die of climate change, or I can move you because I don't want to die of climate change.
You can also work in my house for no pay. You can also.
No, I'm not.
It's better for them. No. He says it's better for them. He's making their lives better. They just don't know it.
Yeah, I don't understand how the fuck you could be. I'm just gonna throw this out there that I don't understand how you can be a libertarian, someone who's trying to maximize liberty, as well as a neocon who wants to literally take liberty away from people. Like I think those are contradictory.
If that liberty is going to end the world, yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Yeah.
But then just take the libertarian out and call yourself a neocon.
Yes, just
Goodbye.
Stop.
I want them to abide.
Be honest
by,
with yourself. Just say that you just want to use force to get your way.
I don't care about the label. All right. Yes, I'm happy
to
go to war.
Here's the thing. I think the global south is keenly aware of how climate change is affecting them. I mean, they are getting hit the hardest from a lot of this. Are you telling me that they're actually going to be like, no, I don't want this, and we're going to have to force them into it? I just don't see that. I don't see somebody being like, we're refusing your technology. You're willing to work with us. Work within the confines of our culture, our existence, and our terrain. Yes. You want to bring us energy. I don't know who was going to say no to that, depending on how you present it to them.
I'm literally like, yeah, I know that's ridiculous. Like, I'm a free money country. I'm here to completely upscale your infrastructure and make all your lives better. Oh, do you want that? No. Okay, I guess you'd rather let the planet end. Okay, brilliant. I guess I'll just sit back and burn.
Well, but hold on. Okay, so let's say you give a country $100 million, or no, I'm sorry, that's too little. I'm sorry. Let's say you give a country $1 trillion. Okay, and now you're saying we give them $1 trillion, no strings attached. We just kind of nudge them in the right direction. Right. What
Yeah,
if they
we could
don't
do
do
that.
that? What if they spend the trillion on fucking?
You don't give them the money. You give
Whatever the
them.
fuck
You
they
give them
want.
the energy. You build the
give them
plant.
thing. You give
Wait,
them
isn't
the
there?
don't
I'm
give them
trying
the
to say,
money.
isn't there accountability that's built into the money? So then, what if they're like, hey, actually, I don't like the terms of your fucking deal. Fuck you with your money.
Bang. That's what.
Oh, great. I guess we'll just
I
let
would
like
say-
at that point, right? Hold on. At this point, because
Okay, I'm not saying they're not in the wrong. I'm just saying what happens in your scenario.
Let me take this down to why I'm
Well,
right.
I'm just trying to push your scenario
Okay.
even further.
Why I'm right. Okay, right. So you're coming at me like, oh, but you're using violence to come to the ends. Oh, that's bad, right? We can't use violence, blah blah blah. Actually, the violence inflicted on me and everybody else by you being complicit in letting the world end is far greater. Okay, so if I have to, yes, put a gun to your head to make you fucking use green energy, I'm absolutely willing to do so, because the alternative is you don't use green energy and the entire world burns.
Yeah, so basically, we go to war with them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, fine, I'm absolutely okay with that.
But how
Like
much?
I said,
How much climate?
we agree. Hold on. We agreed, all of us in the beginning. We can pretty much take it as far as we want. All right, there is no
I didn't say
thing that we
that.
shouldn't do to address
I
it.
didn't
Right?
say that.
I'm now
I didn't say
here.
that either.
I
What
know.
conversation were you having? Were you on a
No,
different
I
panel?
didn't.
He was on
I
a
said
different
we
panel.
should
It
print
wasn't
as
this
much
panel. It
money.
must have been a different
That
panel.
is not the same thing.
Right?
Must have been a different panel.
Okay, so hold on.
Wasn't
So
this
you're
one.
okay with this, right? So if there's like all these little countries like, actually, we don't want your money. We don't want green energy. Like, fuck you. Do we just say okay and just the world ends? Are you okay with that?
Okay, this is why
okay with that?
I personally put forward the radical idea of just letting
Windmills are big time green
maybe
energy.
10 million
California has a
people
ton
here
of
in
wind farms,
the
and
United
actually, it's
States.
very
And putting
effective in
$1
providing
trillion
energy
a
throughout
year
California. That's
into
actually
that.
saved them
You know,
in
instead
periods
of
where they
putting
were
$1
having
trillion
brownouts.
a year into
That
another
was-
country, which we would then have to do oversight,
I
build our
will-
own fucking infrastructure. We don't have blah blah blah. What if they don't accept it? What if there's corruption? What if there's? I mean, come on, we already have all this shit already in our country, and our
I'll say
country's
sneaky
big
bit,
as
man.
fuck.
That was the sneakiest debate tactic I've seen. Remember when you all agreed with me? That at the very beginning? Remember when everyone fully agreed with me at the beginning of this panel on the thing that I said?
No, all of you at the beginning were like, yeah, we should do everything we can to address climate change. And now I'm here saying, hey,
Now
here's
that
how we
we've
could do it. You're all like,
established
well, I
agreement.
don't know about that, because that sounds a bit, oh, I don't know. Maybe we should just let the world end instead. Maybe, you know what, I'd actually rather just die from a solar flare in 20 years. Oh, well, that actually sounds much better.
This specific question of like how far we would go for climate change was actually like either the or one of the first topics that I talked about on a Prime panel, on an open panel. And I remember there was a lot of questions like, this is low-key imperialism, guys, if we were to like invade a country. So my position that I developed there, and I still hold it here, I think as far as I'd go is probably like, let's say we offered a really good deal, they refused a deal, but we need them to get on board to save the world. So I would put economic pressure, and I think I'd probably put the line there. I think I would say something around the lines of like, not like sanctions.
You let them starve to death instead
No,
of like shoot them.
no, not like sanctions to regular people, but like freezing the assets, foreign assets of companies and a variety of people in government, directly affecting them, and just say, please let's accept the deal. I want to give you back your assets, but you need to accept the deal first. But really, ideally, a lot of countries would jump on board.
We don't have time.
That's what.
We have so many ways to pressure other
nice.
countries.
Let's go, so
Economic
let's go.
sanctions, I think, are totally valid, and I would totally do that.
Let's try
Yeah,
Sunny.
okay. I mean, that sounds great,
My
but this is
friends.
like, when it comes down to it, right? We haven't got time to fuck around. World's gonna end. Let's go. Chop, chop.
Sunny.
My friends, with your righteous indignation to go into other countries and force them to build greener infrastructure. How do you feel about taking that within your own country to
Fuck yeah,
the
I'm all for it.
companies? Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck
Yeah,
let's do it.
I'm sure he's all for it, right?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. If they're gonna come over here and be like, you have to build green energy, I'm gonna be like, yeah, brilliant. I don't know who this regime is, but I support it.
They're not coming over and saying you have to build green energy. They're saying you have to come over and build green energy that we tell you to, or else we fucking kill you.
Yeah,
Remember?
I'm happy. Yeah, if they're like,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
you have to
yeah,
build,
sure.
you have to like revolutionize your industry and make it all green and nice, and like we're gonna provide you with new houses and like stuff to accommodate
Or
for
else
this change.
we kill you.
Or else, mate, they don't need to say or else. I was on board. Yeah, we're gonna give
They
you all
are
this free
saying
shit.
or else.
No,
Yeah, but
once
I don't
once
care.
you
The or
say
else
But
doesn't
no,
matter.
you don't
or
get a
else.
say in that, right?
You don't get a
But-
say.
not
But
beyond.
you don't have. It doesn't have to be or else we'll kill you. It can be or else we'll impose economic sanctions or other things like that. We don't have to go that far.
Come on. First of all, people throwing around this economic sanctions thing like it means nothing. Like, we'll just starve your country of resources, right?
We'll
Exactly.
starve them
Big
out.
deal,
We'll
right?
starve 'em out.
Like I
That's
said,
the
man, like
happiest
at
way
least
of doing
I'm willing
things,
to
right?
shoot him in the head. You're trying to let him starve to death.
And you don't necessarily get a choice, right? So, let's pretend the U.S. was in a position where like another country could dictate to it, right? Just for a second, right? And they're saying you got to use Americans, right? You got to use other countries. You've been fucking around too much, right? Now it's time. Get your act together, right? And I'm like, well, all right. Well, it was about time. Yeah, let's do it. Let's revolutionize our energy, right? But the thing is, at the time, we have a guy called Donald Trump in office, and he says, "No, fuck you. We'll do it the way we want to do it." And so now I guess it's war with a hypothetical superpower, B, right? So like you don't necessarily get that choice, right? So you're saying, well, yeah, I would love it, right?
Well,
And
I'm
individuals
saying,
in those nations will love
prescriptively,
it plenty,
we
but who's in
should.
charge may not. And
But
then
this-
and they will suffer the least from an invasion.
This is how you build pressure, though. This is how you build pressure. Like it appeals to the people. That's exactly what you want. That's what those sanctions are for, to get the people to mobilize against their government and force their government to start making these changes.
When they're
you keep saying,
Wait, when they're starving?
Yeah.
Economic sanctions don't always have to starve people out. We've done a lot of sanctions that don't actually starve people out. We've sanctioned certain industries, certain businesses. We could sanction the ones that have the biggest climate impact. We don't have to sanction everything in the country.
You keep coming up with this hypothetical. It's like, oh, you comply with our economic regime, or else we kill you, right? No, that is not the choice here. The choice is you comply with our economic regime, or we all die. Right, the planet dies.
No, that's not the choice you're presenting them, right? That's the choice in the long term, right? Yeah, it's true. Well, depending on exactly what we're talking about. But sure, let's give you that. In the long term, yes. In the short term, it's the plant, right? The nuclear plant or the bullets, right? It's one or the other.
Yeah.
So the idea that
Okay. All right. So let's make sure we're on the same page here, right? So
Yeah, because I'd rather we give like that guy a bullet now than the world ends. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna push more on this. I'm definitely gonna push more.
It's not
on
even
this.
like, it's not like I said this earlier. Like I laid this out with my initial hypothetical, right? I was like, imagine if we had to kill like 99% of the people on the planet to address climate change. I said, comparing that to the rest of humanity forever, like the infinite humans that come after that. Yeah, I'm happy to make that choice.
So I have two other scenarios for you all. So we're gonna go through them. But first, let's get Sunny. She can respond, and then we'll go to Adam. See if he has any words.
Oh, I was just gonna throw in that I'm confused as to why we want to go and do all like we want to take out this like righteous fury on like countries in the global south instead of like the companies that are that have those plants in, like, the global south, or, like, like why are we going over there and being like, hi, we're gonna like kill the civilians if you're not cool with us building a power plant here, instead of like, I don't know, like going to the companies here that are the ones building the power plants there. You know, it's like, sorry. Anyway, continue.
Good point.
Yeah, I think that's.
Let's go to. I just want to get to Adam in here. Adam, thank you for joining us. How you doing, buddy? Introduce yourself and then
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Adam, or Top Dolphin. You can find me in Twitch TV. So Top Dolphin. I think I kind of agree with Ugly Pies. Like most of the climate impact is like made by the companies that make products for individuals, and like everyone knows like the United States is the biggest market. So the idea that we'd have to like go to the global south and like take like like some Teddy Roosevelt tactics, like speak softly but carry a big stick around, like seems kind of like weird. Like I don't think that would happen, but if we had to, like maybe. But I think in general it's just better to do things like this through like treaties, getting a bunch of countries together, and not to do it as like one nation alone. So if like we want to threaten like military power, like sure, but like I think it looks better, and it probably isn't as like it doesn't feel as like almost imperialistic if it's like not just the US. It was like Like if we have like the U.S., we have like Germany, we have like a conglomerate of people who say, hey, like we all say that you need to like change your energy usage. But yeah, it seems like most of the time it's like big companies, so like we should like be regulating them more often. And like I guess if there's somebody able to like survive without U.S. markets, which is like probably not gonna happen, then we could like go around with like guns and like shooting people. But like whatever.
I like his idea of using a coalition. I think that that's actually a better way to go about it too, because when you have global pressure, you know, there's more there, you know, and it doesn't have to be a negative. You know, it can be a lot of people saying, hey, come and join our coalition. We want to do this green energy thing. We want to help, you know, other countries.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like what Prime's going to say is like, what if a country doesn't join, right? Like you make a coalition and you say, hey, anybody who joins coalition gets like preferential treatment and like taxes or like whatever. Like you make it a really sweet deal and someone still doesn't join because the amount of profit making is too much. Like at the end of the day, like, the threat is going to be have to backed up by like sanctions or violence. And sanctions could be like
just to clarify
too.
my point. Just to clarify my point, right? My first port of call is not you get the plant or you get the gun, right? This is how far would you go? That's how far I would go.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry.
So it's just there's a few things here, right? One, this is literally what we're seeing playing out right here, like the history of conservationship in America, and I imagine other places in the world, right? Like it's literally white people going to brown people and saying we know better.
Sneaky debate man, we're all looking at you now.
What if some of those countries are adjacent though? What if some of those countries aren't white countries?
Hold on, let me finish my words. We've already decided as to what is the right solution, right? And we didn't need any input from you. Don't worry about that. But we've already arrived on the best way to handle this. And if you don't, there's going to be consequences, right?
I mean,
that's literally the history.
The harsh reality.
Green movement. But no, and they've all said the same thing. No, the harsh reality of it. No, and that's how they started, right? And how they ended can be pretty brutal. All right.
Pretty harsh.
So, yeah, it's pretty harsh. The harsh reality is what I'm about to do to you. So, and then when you say like, we just do a coalition, right? What are these coalitions? These like governmental coalitions? Are they all stakeholders in that coalition all equally agreeing that the task at hand, right, is something that needs to be done, and this is the way it needs to happen? Or is it a certain few key, very powerful, very military adept stakeholders that tell the rest of them, oh, hey, this is the direction that we're going in, right? So, is it like everyone in part of the coalition forces that like invaded Afghanistan, did all of them like really want to invade, right? Like some of them had their own reasons, right? But did all of them really think this was the way? If they had been left up to them, to their own devices, these other nations, right? Would they have done the same if they had the ability? Would they? Yes. But America says we got to do it, and they were very emphatic about this. And so
this is actually like this is the key to why I think Sneaky Debate Man's completely wrong, is because like we're well beyond the threshold of. We're beyond the point of no return where we're not going to get the old world back, where we're not seeing fucking fires. We're not going to reverse any of the damage that we've done. There is no going back. There's only going forward, and that's things are going to get worse before they get better. And so, like,
true,
that's the reality. And another thing, like these wars that you talk about, and I know that we're taking it to the extreme. I can appreciate that. But like, I also think like, don't wars cause like emissions and shit? Isn't that bad for the climate? I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up. Maybe not.
It depends.
know, but
like, if the US goes to war with like Nigeria, it's going to be over in a day. Like it's going to flatten the country. It's not going to be.
But then Nigeria is a big country.
You got to stay there, and you know it requires trucks and troops, and you got to feed the troops, and that.
I've never heard of proxy wars.
I'm good with no occupation. We don't need to be occupying other countries.
This is not so easy
in smaller countries.
Yeah. It's
wars
never
between
happened
big
before.
countries and they fight in smaller, weak countries.
Yeah, but that,
You ever
that
heard
is
of
a
that?
proxy
I
war.
didn't know
Like
that.
this is not the
never heard
case,
that,
right?
no.
Like obviously, like how it would go is like, right,
It won't happen
like-
anyway. So don't worry.
like we have
Yeah,
like
come
the
on.
Paris Climate Accords, right? For example, and everybody goes like, yeah, we need to invest in green energy. Like you have to invest in green energy. If you don't invest in green energy, the rest of us are going to kick your ass, right? And that's good, right? This is like brilliant. You know, we impose economic sanctions and like we'd be like, hey, like we'll really encourage you to invest in that. And the fact of the matter is, most places are on board with this, right? Most places are like, yes, climate change is a real problem. We should invest in climate change, right? And then we've got these few stragglers, right? So we go, right, you need to invest in climate change. It's very important you invest in climate change. All right, or the world is going to end and you're killing all of us. You know, you're taking us all down with you, and that's completely unfair. So we say, right, you invest in climate change. Here's the money to do so. You know, we can come over and then build it for you because that's what's going to happen, by the way, because we have the technology and we have the resources to do so. We can't just go over there and hand it off to the fucking Zimbabwean nuclear engineers, right? There's fucking none of them, right? I know it's like, it sounds like very colonialistic to say that and like, oh, it's white people telling black people what to do, blah, 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 brown people what to do. I know that sounds very harsh, but the matter of fact is like the global north is more developed and it does tend to be more white, right? It's not because like any kind of like weird race realist shit or anything like that. It's just a matter of fact, right? We do have like more engineers, more people are qualified, more materials, more money, more resources to go over and build these things. So it is going to be us building it over there. That's just the fact of the matter, right? It's nothing to do with like race or any of this weird shit. So we go over there, you know, we can build it. If they refuse, well, we can impose sanctions, we can starve them out, we can do all this shit, right? But at the end of the day, it does come down to you need to comply one way or another.
I don't like
I
this.
know
I don't
none of you
like
want
this
to-
idea. Like, and I feel like we're.
Jason and then Nathan.
I just feel like we're at this place where we're like saying they're absolutely not going to comply. No matter what we say, there's going to be these countries that just won't hop on board. And because of that, we have to talk about sanctions. We have to talk about going to war. Like, this is a campaign that can take, and it may take a couple years, but it's something that we can have conversations with these countries. We act like we don't have the ability to actually converse with these countries and try to find some common ground to make good on this. We're going to these extremes of like, oh yeah, we're going to have to go do military conflict and all this. Who's to say that if we approach these countries, like I said, in ways that cater to their environment, their culture, and in that way, even have countries that are adjacent to those countries who are resistant, have them go talk to them. People that are in their backyard, people that can express, hey, like, you know, we work together as countries. We work together. We're choosing to go this route. Maybe you should hop on board with us. Like, we'd love to have you. Like, why aren't we talking about that? Like,
exactly, right. Like the first port of call is obviously like this kind of behavior. Like, hey, look, here's some benefits. You know, we're going to revolutionize your industry. It's going to be really good for you. It's going to be good for your people. And like I said, most countries, most places are just going to be like, great. That sounds fantastic. Free investment, free renovation. Like, this sounds brilliant. Most places are going to be on board with that, right? So like the idea that we have to take it to this extreme is like, it's how far would you go, right? I'm biting the bullet and saying this is how far I would go. But in the majority of the cases, it's not going to be the case, right? They're going to be happy to accept these investments. They're going to be happy to work with us. It's going to be really easy. The issue here
They're
is,
going to greet us as saviors, right?
I hope so. The issue here,
White saviors.
the issue here is getting the countries who have the power to do so, to do so. And like I said, the Paris Climate Accords is it's a step number one, right? Let's do about 60 times that.
Okay, I still have more scenarios here that I want to go through, but Nathan, did you go?
Yeah. So first of all, since I think I was the first one to bring up the economic pressure. My line is literally just like the people in government, they're foreign assets. I don't want to starve out the people whatsoever. So that's like my red line. But I think I'm in agreement. I think in most cases these countries are going to accept. We can. I'm fine with like if I was in like the U.S. government, I would push for an for pushing this like global, like our own Belt and Road in a way, except with less debt
Right.
traps and just better overall. We frame it by saying, oh, we're gonna send them American steel, we're gonna send them all these American things, and then their workers are gonna build the infrastructure, and it's gonna be great. It's a win-win for everybody. That's one way. I remember recently I watched this video. It was from 1954. It was the UN, and it was a bunch of international students, most of which being from the global south. and they were giving their perspectives on what exactly they want to see out of the UN. And many of the things that they were pushing has not been realized in the current day, but they were pushing for an international income tax. Countries paying for things, paying the UN, and then the UN is investing in development. I'm in agreement with those people all the way back from 1950. We were talking about what coalitions. There's our coalition, the UN. You want to be part of the UN? Okay, here's your UN income tax. Pay a certain amount of your overall GDP, and we're going to use that to invest in green energy. Now, there might be countries that don't want UN help or US help. Like I said, I'm fine with economic pressure for leaders' assets only. Otherwise, if they still don't budge, then they don't budge. But I think a majority of countries will be more than willing to want an international investment in their development. So that would be my approach.
Yeah, I'm less convinced that that's actually the truth. Like, I think like, okay, and I'm also less convinced that that would even work. Like, if you just gave, I'm thinking like Duterte or you know, the Taliban in Afghanistan. You just give them a bunch of money without any accountability.
No, we wouldn't.
And
do
that's
that.
the point that I was trying to make earlier.
$100
accountability.
billion.
And then, like, what if they don't do the thing?
And
then who's going to hold them accountable? Right? And then like this is a whole infrastructure you need to build. And then going back to the actual infrastructure you need to build. And then like holy shit, it just seems like and again, we're beyond the point of no return. So this seems like, yeah, we should of course be, I think, like lending money to other countries is not only good for us economically, it's smart business policy, but it's also the right thing to do. And the two and two can go hand in hand. But like, we're not going to get to a point where like we can just like radically change the infrastructure and economy of fucking name a country, whatever country you want. And here's my final question to you, sneaky debate man. Would you be okay if China, since you seem to like them so much, stand them? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was a low blow.
No, it's the truth.
That was a low blow. It's kind of the truth, though. He was standing them earlier. Anyway, like, would you be okay with them saying, what if they drew a line in the sand and they were like, hey, United States, you are the biggest polluter in the world.
Yeah,
and unless you get your fucking act together, we're going to war with you.
Yeah, China comes to the UK government and they're like, look, all right, the UK, you're not making enough investment into green energy. We're absolutely unhappy with this, right? We're going to start pressuring you to put more more investments in there. We're going to start with our economic sanctions, right? And start with those. If you don't comply, and we can escalate. And I'd be absolutely all for that.
I know 100%. Which country. And I know which company they're gonna tell you to work with. The Chinese company. In fact, all of the Chinese companies.
This is exactly why, right? We should
100%.
We should beat them there, right? We've got the fucking UN, we've got fucking America, we got NATO, we got all these fucking big forces, right? We can beat them there. We don't need fucking China to do this. We can fucking beat them there, right? China's bad for so many fucking reasons, right? Why let China do this? Why is China
period,
fucking...
no matter what. You just don't. Your idea is we let them unless, and the answer is you don't. Period. That's it.
You don't let China. Yeah, definitely, we don't let China do this because China bad, all right? China definitely bad.
Yeah,
no, you just don't.
This reminds me a lot, sneaky. Your argument kind of reminds me of the people who I've heard who advocate essentially to go to war with China over the Uyghurs, which I definitely don't think we should go to war with them. Like, I'm not even like, fuck. We should, there's something. What are we supposed to fucking do about it? Because what are we going to sanction them and then escalate things, and then how far are we going to take it? This is
we do have sanctions over the Uyghur stuff, like that already exists.
On specific companies.
So like, this just becomes a question of opportunity cost, right? And when the opportunity cost is, if you don't, the world ends. Like most things become justifiable.
That's what you're putting forward.
Yeah, exactly. Most things become justifiable, right? So if like even the UK, my own fucking house, my own city, like you can take this as personal to me as you want it. It's saying we're not going to comply. We're not going to partake in not letting the world end, yeah, no, people should pressure them to do that. People should pressure them to conform, because I don't think it's fair that if you don't want to conform, you get to take the rest of us down with you.
Okay, so I wanna expand on this, right? And see what other people think as well, right? So we'll leave Spoon alone for a second. Beat up on him later. It's a lot of fun though. Okay. So we're talking about rapidly changing our energy infrastructure, right? And that takes resources. A lot of the important components of those resources exist in Africa. And we have a history of not actually giving Africans good deals. They're just more or less taking, right? Stealing their resources. In any case, so climate emergency, things got to get done. We got to move quickly, all right? The Africans decide, well, we want a better deal than we've had literally, well, since ever dealing with the West, right? They say, no, we aren't going to hand over these materials. What happens then?
I think it just becomes like a question of like refining. So like this was like a thing with like Venezuela, right? So Venezuela has all the oil, but they don't have any refineries. Like all the refineries were on the east coast of America. So like all the oil has to be shipped up from Venezuela up to America to get refined and then go back down, right? So it's like the same principle with like Africa, right? They've got all the raw materials and all the stuff there, but they don't have the stuff that makes it into useful stuff. So like the easy solution, go there with the stuff that makes useful stuff, you know, set up factories and shit, and then bada bing, bada boom, those people get the stuff. Easy peasy.
Wait, it's really hard though for that's why, like, it's the reason that Venezuela was bada bing, bada boom. The reason like everybody ships their oil to the United States to get refined. That's not a Venezuela thing only.
Yeah,
that's
a
Saudi Arabia does it.
Yeah. It's just an example. That's what I mean. Like we have like in the West, we have the stuff that makes the stuff useful into useful stuff.
That's why
So we put the stuff that makes the useful stuff in the place with the stuff, and then we have the stuff and the stuff that makes the stuff useful, and then we get useful stuff out of that, and then the whole world is saved as a result. Brilliant idea.
I think it's easier. They mine the shit, they send it over here, we refine it into good.
No, that's not. I agree with Spoon here because that's like you earn more when you create a finished product and sell that rather than just handing over your raw materials, right? An example I use is Swiss chocolate, right? I'm fucking go that chocolate. In the Swiss, right? In Switzerland, that chocolate comes from the global south, right? Mm-hmm. And from oftentimes terrible conditions. And so, but it's not known as I don't know where exactly it comes from. Let's say Nigerian chocolate, right? It's not a Swiss chocolate, and the Swiss get the benefits from that, right? So like that's how that works. Is that like you get rich off of that finished product? So I agree with Spoon there in building factories and like actually allowing them to have industry, not simply raw material extraction, but build up industry. And industry begets industry, right? And so you're just strengthening them that way, right? But here's my issue: is that history that I'm talking about, right? That history is real. And there's no reason to think it won't continue. So a lot of this talk has been in our ideal society, all right, where we offer them the best deal, right? That's what Jason and Sneaky are talking about. The best deal is what we're offering to move things forward, right? And I would love to do that as well, right? Maybe even better deals than the ones you've described, right? But that's not what they're going to get. Right, so let's say that we do finally get our act together. We're saying that with the green revolution is happening here, right, in the States, and now we realize, okay, no fucking around, like a kid, who's like procrastinating on his homework, right? It's due like the next night. All right, this just got to get done. The deal that we're going to offer them is not going to be the best deal. It's going to be the deal that benefits America and American industries, right? And Western industries too, right?
Like.
But so in that case, we don't. Well, we don't, but we will. All of history tells us that we will. every single bit of it.
Like we're
But-
not making prescriptive statements of like what we
we're
should do.
making these things mutually exclusive, right? Like we can necessarily like create a deal, right? So like a really good example is like we like give them, we like help them build industry, and then in return what we
Yeah.
do is we like say, hey, but we want you to like trade that final product with us, right? And we like we require them to do like a certain amount of business with us, and that like we make sure that like their industry is going to be get like profits for them, but at the same time benefiting the United States. Like we can do stuff like that.
Okay,
Right?
but you got yes, we can, and that'd be great. 100% love it. Great, sounds like a good idea. I'm saying that like, what does this look like in the real world? Because I would love for us to give a equitable deal, right? Because with the Green Revolution, there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity to change everything about how the old world has operated. Everything. Like we can have equitable solutions. Right?
Fantastic.
Solutions that empower everyone, lift all boats, but not necessarily so, right? That's a choice that we have to make. However, if we make the wrong choice, the choice that we've made all throughout history, right, since the start of colonialism, if we make that choice that we're very comfortable with making, that we're very used to making, we have all the infrastructure available to make again, right? If we go in that direction, and the world still will end, right? Will still burn, nonetheless. If we offer them non-equitable deals, are you still in favor for all the things that you've talked about so far, right? I'm using all those tactics because the world still will burn, and we can still save it. It's just that, you know, instead of giving an African nation a good deal on their uranium deposits, right? We come there with guns. Are you still for it?
I think it just has to be
think
framed
sure,
in
why
this
not?
idea. I think it just has to be framed in this sort of like way of like egoistic altruism. Like giving them a good deal is beneficial for you. So
You're not engaging in the topic. You're not engaging with what I'm saying, though, right?
So like what you're saying, like if we give them like a bad deal, it's gonna end the world and it's gonna be bad. It's like, well, yeah, it's gonna be bad. If we give them a bad deal and like it ends the world anyway, it's just bad. Yeah, it'd be bad. We have to give them not bad deals.
No, I think you're saying like if we give them a good deal, we give them a shit deal, and we exploit all of these like African and country and all the countries with resources, but like if there's good outcomes, are you still in favor of the thing?
Yeah, but like I don't think that applies here because the exploitation of the global south is the crux of the issue, right? Like we need to stop exploiting the global south in order to combat climate change.
So this is why I was actually saying like that, like to lend the money to foreign countries rather than give it, because it's a more realistic, well, in my opinion, it would be a more realistic solution because we would be gaining interest on the loan payments. We make these payments for, you know, long periods of time. We're literally doing it right now. So this is just something that happens all the time.
I mean, you're
especially more now during the pandemic.
Like you're right, but you're not engaging with the topic, right?
Well, no,
because we're saying like,
this
in
is
the
the
past, like the United States goes around and we go and fuck shitty countries.
Okay, but let me get to.
And so like he's saying, if the United States is gonna go around and fuck shitty countries, but the end result is like the world doesn't die, like are you still okay with that? Because realistically, the U.S. is still going to do that, right?
When you say "fuck shitty countries,"
fuck countries with resources for our personal gain.
Yeah, we're giving them a raw deal, so to
That's
speak.
just a false. I'm sorry. That's a false. That's like a false statement. Like I don't think that.
But that's the scenario presented.
That's literally how it's always worked.
And that is how it's always worked. We've always pillaged and plundered other countries for resources, given them bad deals, and acted in bad faith to get what we wanted. Anytime that there was an economic advantage for us, we have acted in bad faith to the global south. We absolutely have. When have we not acted in bad faith to the global south?
That's how we've always behaved towards all countries.
I didn't say all countries. I said towards the global south. And tell me which country we have not done that in. Which country have we not used the Monroe Doctrine in South America to eviscerate their governments when their governments didn't suit our benefit? Like, come on. Honduras is a prime example.
Actually, I'll be right back. Fuck.
like I
Sure.
said, like the
Yeah.
crux of the issue is that in the global south, they don't have like the technology and the infrastructure not to pollute, like not to contribute to climate change, right? So unless in your scenario we literally go over there and we just eradicate them, like literally just like kill all of them, then like it's still going to remain an issue. Like the issue is that they pollute because they don't have the capability to not pollute and still live their lives.
Your problem is that you're assuming that the green alternative is necessarily the equitable alternative, right? I'm saying there's multiple green alternatives, and there's a spectrum on their equitability, right? And that there is a uh, a most beneficial deal, a prime deal, if you will do that. A prime deal, right? Yes. And there are less prime deals, right? We can understand that, right? That you could have situations
Like
where
any functioning deal, right? Even like the least prime deal still involves renovating the infrastructure of the global south.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I hear that.
Right, which is good.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good thing. So, like, even in the worst case scenario, it's still good.
Well,
Wait,
no. Okay.
So like, if your boss gives you like, if your boss is making $70 trillion and then gives you like, I don't know, like 100K a year, is that like still okay? Like, you know, it's like the same thing.
Or
I mean,
like,
it's
I'll
like,
give an example. What if we just made a treaty with a country that we're like, hey, yeah, we're gonna provide you nuclear energy in an adjacent country, but in your country, we're gonna dump all the rods.
I mean, as long as
Well,
it's stored safely, it doesn't really
I
make a
think
difference.
that
You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's
it
something
safely,
that
do it in your
we
home.
have done. We've done that with wastewater and mining. I mean, we've done stuff like that before. We've done it with our own reservations in the United States.
Look at
So
lithium. Look at we're talking about the electric car revolution. Look at the lithium mining, though. Right?
exactly. Or uranium in Arizona. I mean, it's all over.
Even people, even to people within our own nation, right, in the states, right, for real Americans. But no, we've done that to them. We've stolen their land, right, from our Native American brothers and sisters. We poisoned their land, right, and for nuclear, for one of the solutions you're talking about. So
Well,
I'm
we
saying
don't.
the like it's not necessarily optimal just to be greener, right? That doesn't mean bright future for all, right? It could be more profits for some, and a world that survives, certainly survives, but that exploitation you're talking about still very much exists, right? Don't underestimate capitalists and their ability to find a way to exploit. Is what I'm saying, and I want other people to get into this
Sure.
too, right?
Can I just say? I just
Go
want to say, it's anything that you put between doomsday scenario, end of all humanity, all life on earth is dead, done, end of existence, done, versus the thing that I want to do. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess yours is a lot better then. It's like anything versus everyone dies is always justifiable, right? But it's, I mean, if you literally live your life like that, and in fact, if you make all your decisions like that, and if you like, if everything is based around that, then all you do is you just end up justifying atrocities over and over and over again. It never
So what we're
stops.
looking at, here is like preferable alternatives.
We'll get back to you. I promise. We'll
I
get back
agree
to you.
with Brento.
Okay.
That's what I want to talk about is like this like black and white that's being painted of like the world ending or the world not ending, because that's not how climate change is going to happen. It's incremental, and then all of a sudden it's terrible. Like, and it's already happening. Like, Spoon, you said that at the beginning of this. Like, it's already happening. The atrocities are happening. People are dying. Forests are burning. Blah blah blah. And so I'm getting really like hung up and confused by this. Like, okay, well, we could just go into this our country and like we have to do this, or the world is going to end. Like, we have to do this, or the world is going to end, because there's no like one thing that's like we have to do this or the world is going to end. It really is an overhaul of the entire system.
Yeah. Like I think I mean more like we have to take actions in this aspect, right? It's not like
Yeah.
we have to do this specifically, right? And like again, the world is going to end. I understand it's not like that next day the world ends, right? It's not, we're not on a timer. Things will just get gradually worse. Right? I'm just using these as sort of like
I think that
rhetorical implements.
I think that I'm trying to imagine the hypothetical that was like put up. So to be clear, essentially it's, let's say, global South countries, let's say Africa in particular, African countries are refusing to give the resources needed to deal with climate change. or
It's less
something.
that they're refusing. It's more that like they're demanding a certain level of
They're-
equability, right? So like just like others are asserting
Yeah, but
themselves
given the
right now
equability.
during the
Yeah.
oh no, we will get don't worry, Sneaky, we'll get back to you. But just like others, like Native Americans are trying to assert their rights,
Yeah.
their territorial rights to their own land, in this green revolution, right? Like people in other countries could do the same. So they demand, right, that they want an equitable green future. They want the green future. They're all aboard for the green future, right? But they want an equitable one. But it's the entire history of the West is dealing with those African nations has been far from that. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't, if nothing about that changes, what do
I
we
think-
do at that point? Hold on, don't worry, Spoon. I got other people in here. Nathan.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think that'd be a better world if the global South in general was able to stand up to the West or certain big countries in the East and put some demands on the table and be at the negotiation tables. So I think from as us, most of us are in the West, all of us are in the West. We need a government that's willing to look at them as equals. Now we've had big shifts in foreign policy throughout American history. Obviously, we were very isolationist in the beginning. Then we wanted to be like the newest empire on the block, so we took the Philippines and Cuba from Spain, and we're like, ha, that's mine now. But then in the Roosevelt era, we actually saw like a lot of opposition to the current and like tension between like the American government and the European empires. Even with Indonesia, for instance, we were willing to withhold Marshall Plan aid to the Dutch so that they don't harm the or they don't colonize Indonesia again. So what I mean to say by this is obviously throughout all our lifetimes, we've seen the U.S. government be extremely imperialist, extremely exploitative. The ideal scenario is that as the country rejects the sort of 40 years of neoliberalism and enters into a more progressive era, which I think is coming, folks. As we enter that, we need a much more progressive foreign policy, and if they are demanding a more equitable deal, we need to give them a more equitable deal. Like I said with my suggestion, I want to see like a international New Deal of sorts, where we're willing to provide the materials and the resources to construct, but their workers are the ones that are building, and when workers are working, that's money going directly to their people. That's making their economy better. That's the deal. That's a good deal, and I think a lot of countries right now already take really bad deals where they find themselves in debt traps, where Chinese workers, for example, will be the only ones working. I think a lot of the global South countries would be more than willing to take good deals where their people work.
But the point is, what I'm trying to say is that what if we aren't offering them a good deal? They asking for it, and they're not, and we're not offering them, right? So like, there's shut up, Spoon. We're gonna get back to you. I swear to God. But we got a limited amount of time. I want to make sure everyone else gets to say. So after we're done with Nathan, I want to go to Adam and get more from him. But okay, like there's multiple green options. There's a leftist green option, right? There's also the neoliberal green option, which keeps like corporations in the driver's seat, right? And they will do what's best for their bottom line. So if we go in the neoliberal option, would you still be for taking further steps? Like we give them the neoliberal green option. They're like, well, no, this isn't equitable, right? Well, then, no, like there's still that climate crisis still looming. That's still coming, right? Should we take further action, whether economic sanctions or anything like that? Because it's still the neoliberal option, green option, is still better than the course that we're on any which way. So then, are we justified to take those further actions in that scenario?
No. Flat out, no.
Yeah.
I like a serious like.
No,
there
we're
is a
gonna give a better
line to
deal.
be drawn, and yeah, this is kind of what I was saying. Like, it's kind of why I hedge a lot of what I say. Like, I don't believe in these like kind of fairy tale-ish solutions. Like, that's just not the way the world works. We got a one vote lead in the Senate, and it's via the fucking vice president. Like, that's not good. All right. And that is not the way we get all the liberal and progressive shit we want done. That's a way to get deadlocked and get absolutely nothing done. Like realistically, I think again, like we're well beyond the point of no return. We're gonna have to mitigate damage as much as possible and try to switch over to a more greener energy sector. That's gonna all take time. In the meantime, we're gonna be spewing out more carbon and more emissions and making the problem even worse. And the problem is going to continue to get worse. We're going to see all these devastating fires, floods, etc. Like, and countries are going to look inwards at their leaders and say, "What are you doing for us?" If we don't have an equally, like, let's say we give $1 trillion to some southern whatever
Global South
country. And we don't do $2 trillion of spending here, that ain't gonna fly. And so the more trillions you want to give, more trillions you got to spend here, and like that. And so like naturally, what's going to end up happening? It's so in this realistic scenario, which I think Prime is trying to paint, like what happens in our world, like third world, I'm sorry, global South countries are gonna get fucked. And we're not going to be able to do a lot to change their behavior other than hopefully give things that we shouldn't have done. We should not have let China get over with the TPP. We should have been involved in that. We should be involved in every trade deal that goes on. We should be involved in the global we are the fucking global hegemon. We don't want China or Russia. Not that Russia's a big deal. It's China. We don't want China to fucking have to be the global hegemon. We want to remain that. I'm American centric in that way. I don't think that China is better than us. I think we're way better than them. Like, go Team USA.
I agree with that a lot. I'll try to be quick. I think that's one of the most effective ways to frame a push for climate, for green energy and climate change reform. For example, somebody said in chat, like China did like 60% of like solar panel building like this year. That's fucking embarrassing, bro. We need to build them. We need to jump in that race. Why are we not? If we need to frame this in like some if we need to use like some Cold War rhetoric, be like, oh, you guys really want to be beat by fucking China? I mean, I watched the Nixon Kennedy debates, and a lot of the points that Kennedy was making, that's some old school shit. That's the original Prime panel right there. But like, Kennedy was actually making excellent points about the U.S. is behind in scientific research and this and that. We need to do better. We need to be number one. Why are we not hearing that in national discourse all the time? But,
because we're too busy agreeing whether vaccines are good or not. That's
because half the country is science-denying psychopaths and lunatics.
Let's frame it as some anti-China rhetoric, right? I'm all on board with that. I don't really give a fuck what gets it done, but we need to get it done, okay? I don't give a fuck. All right, let's fucking send some money. Prime, fuck you. You're crossing the is-ought gap, all right? You're saying, I'm saying what we ought to do is like give a bunch of money away and just like, they'll probably accept it. Right, and you're saying, but what will really happen is something bad, and it will have bad outcomes. Well, yes, but like, what can I say? Like, I'm against bad things and for good things.
I think what he's really saying is something will happen, but it'll be like pretty mediocre outcomes.
Well,
it'll be like pretty lukewarm outcomes.
Well, and the global South will continue to be hurt by it, and that's kind of a big deal,
I mean, like, I understand that position, right? But like, at the end of the day, like, I'm for good things and I'm against bad things.
No. I'm asking what. No.
Wait, hold on. I'm all for bad things. What the fuck?
Like,
you
just
don't want to engage with the actual question, right? Like saying that in a not unlikely scenario in which we don't offer a perfectly equitable deal to our brothers and sisters in the global South, right? That like should it like what should be done then, right? If that deal is not taken, are we still justified in taking whatever actions afterward?
The best case scenario.
It's so bad,
when it
and
comes
it's
to, like the world or the end of the world, or the slow degradation of the world, however specific you want to be about it, or we force these people to comply, like the option is always clear, right? The answer is always very clear.
I in that scenario, if that's the scenario that we're posing, and I hate it because I think that we've already done a disservice to the global south. But if this is the scenario before us, and it's the destruction of the world or being able to save the world and having to at some point reparate these people for what we've done, then that may be something we have to do. And it's a horrible dichotomy. It's a horrible scenario, but that's what we have to do.
So
I have a question.
I get what Prime's getting at. So you're basically assuming that the United States is gonna, or whoever is gonna go to like the global south and go to the resource-rich countries and be like, "Yo, here's a really shit deal, and if you don't accept it, we're just gonna like put guns in your face," right?
Yep. But we'll say sorry later.
I guess what I would say is like the thing that we should do is that we should, like, if they turn down the shit deal that we give them, instead of the war against them is not justified. We should give them a better deal.
Yes.
But at the end of the day.
But we can't give them a better deal.
Thank you for finally
coming like all these resource-rich countries and exploited them, and then like climate change got better. I would be. I mean, the United States has already done a lot of really shitty things. I mean, it's just the perpetuation of the status quo. And I would be on board, and I would be really critical of the United States after, but I would. I would totally like if we're gonna go around and literally be like mobsters and gangsters and like break people's windows and then like ask them to pay for protection. Why fucking not? If it gets us to the end goal.
Green movement gangsters.
This is an example.
We're not morally justified in doing this. We're really shit for doing this and all this kind of stuff. But like at the end of the day, it's better than the alternative, right?
This is an example of
the negative alternative.
Example of British imperialism of the mind, right? Adam's brain has officially been colonized. And he's like, no, my abusers, it makes sense at this point.
Welcome to the.
Oh my god!
All you gotta do, hey,
welcome to the Sith.
Weapons of mass destruction. All you gotta do is paint like the worst doomsday scenario. Go, unless we do, the thing happens, and they go, oh my god, I guess we have to. That's it. Just keep painting fantasies in people's minds, and then you can make them do whatever the fuck you want, because I guess that's smart. Like, it's fucking stupid.
But I kind of want to poke to what like Captain Jones said. Is that like something he mentioned was like the real battlefield is going to be renovating like the economic structures of like the United States first. Like vaccines are an excellent example of like the fight we have for climate change. We put so many fucking resources into vaccines. We pumped out the technology so fucking fast, better than any country. That is like American like. If you want to be like a pro-American person, that's like the super like amazing thing that we did. And now we can't even get people to take fucking vaccines because like they're scared that we're going to put microchips in their arms and shit. It's like
because half the country are idiots.
Like we can get the work done.
That was my point, though.
The idea that like no, I'm making your point. I'm like saying I agree with you. Is that like
the
problem is like yeah. Like the real battle is gonna get these dumb fuck Americans to like stop driving their oil-filled cars and like get on board with everything, because like obviously you can see even if we make a vaccine in record amounts of time using all of America power, and we give it to them for free, they still won't fucking take it. So like that's like the real battlefield is going to be like on the ground in our own country, and I don't think the other countries are going to like we might, when we get to that point, like there might be shitty things that happen, but I don't even think that's going to be the hard part.
I said this earlier.
It's going to take Donald Trump literally. I don't exactly know what he's going to have to do to break the spell that he's got over the Republican Party, but it's gonna take something. Like he's gonna have to, like I don't know. I don't
that
know.
spell will
It-
be broken when he passes away.
like-
Frankly,
Yeah,
it's
he-
his
it's
party
not-
for the rest of his life.
I didn't want
And
to
if
say
something
it like
happens
that.
to him, he's going to be martyred, and that would be even worse. So
Well,
let's just hope he
I think
dies of
that's
old
what I mean.
age.
It
I'm
has
not
to be
down- I
like
didn't
in a
say
really
kill him.
weird way, like he chokes on a pretzel. You know what I mean?
That sounds more.
Like,
That actually sounds
you
plausible.
know
We're
what
so
I mean?
fucked right now that
Something
like
really
Donald
stupid.
Trump's people won't even take Donald Trump's vaccine, right? Like that was what he was preaching. He's like, "This is my vaccine. Like I'm gonna get this fucking done." And when we got it done, they won't even take the vaccine that he put
Based.
together, right?
Like I
Yeah,
said this earlier, like,
that's
the real
so
issue is
true.
convincing people that we should even give these deals, that we should be giving this. Like I said, I personally, I'll pay extra taxes for this. I'm well on board with it, right? But the issue is convincing people that we actually need to fucking do this in the first place, right? You know, to take the vaccine, to contribute to climate change, to invest in other countries. It's not them fucking getting this ridiculous hypothetical where you have to go over and fucking like kill them all so we can build a nuclear plant, right? It's actually fucking offering a nuclear plant in the first place. That's the fucking issue. Convincing people that this actually needs to be done.
That plays into my point, right? Like it's not that we have a great leftist. I mean, we do actually have a leftist swell that is pushing it, like from the grassroots, right? But in terms of politics, right, on the political level, that we haven't achieved that yet, right? So assuming current trends hold, right, and we don't have install neo Bernie Sanders, right, in time, then
He's got like a cyborg eye.
and we can assume that instead we'll have like a neo Bill Clinton, though, right? And like have another third way solution, which is like a neoliberal Republican type solution, right? So in that case,
Please God,
like
no.
even if we do recognize it's the problem, at some point, even the Republican Party is going to recognize it's a problem. They'll run out of excuses at some point. Fuck, I hope. Maybe I'm giving too much credit, but so at some point they will, right?
Well, the Republicans
like,
did start the
what
EPA,
happens
so let's be
next?
fair.
Wait, hold on.
At one point, they were on board with this stuff. At one point, they were on board. I don't know what the hell happened, but you know.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Then Reagan came.
When was the last time
Right.
you ever heard a Republican admit that they were wrong?
It happens all the time.
I mean,
mean,
last time you
I
heard
mean,
a politician
when they're
admit
about to
they
go
were
to
wrong,
jail for
because-
something,
It must
that's usually
happen
when
on
it
Fridays
happens.
when the news cycle was
Like,
fucking
boy.
the slowest.
Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, Republicans bad, but Democrats are really like marginally better on this issue. Okay, like it's not.
Well,
They play a good
I-
control
that's why I said-
opposition.
I gave it a chance between Bernie Sanders and Bill Clinton, not a Reagan.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, I guess Prime, what you're talking about is like the ACA version of like climate change, and like the same thing with the ACA. Like I would take like for the ACA the 20 million people who got healthcare over no one getting healthcare at all, and so I would take whatever
would-
version of climate change that we get out of like negotiated moderate positions than nothing at all. And I'm
I would
going to scream from the left that we take the best, most extreme like thing ever. But like at the end of the day, like something is better than nothing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but when you say that something better is nothing is a lot of work. That's
Yeah.
the problem, right?
Yeah,
When
no,
you say
and I
that-
understand when I say something's better than nothing that we are exploiting the fuck out of the global south doing this. We are like fucking over like everyone we can if we have to. But like at the end of the day, like I don't even want to say the ends justify the means. It's like it's morally like disgusting that like the United States like might end up doing it in that way.
The alternative is
Yeah,
mutually
something
assured
I would like-
destruction, though.
Climate change.
You know, the
Hold on,
alternative would be
let's-
mutual assured
let's-
destruction.
Let's let some other people in. So let's let Nathan and then Sonny. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna sound like Vosh here, folks. The first step to dealing with climate change is getting rid of the Republicans. Okay? We need to pass the For the People Act, which is
That's
on
some
the table.
base shit right there.
You know, if we are able to get a stronger Democratic majority in the Senate at some point in this decade, it would not surprise me if we get the For the People Act passed, which would make elections more fair, which will in turn make Democrats win more. Getting rid of partisan gerrymandering alone would be significant in that. And while the Democratic Party is extremely flawed, we are seeing chief neoliberal in Joe Biden, you know, doing these policies that Obama or Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton would never consider. Of course, we see leaving Afghanistan. We see an embrace of infrastructure, even though the bipartisan bill is extremely flawed. It's better than anything we've had in the last decade, or it's the last in this century, in the last 40 decades. So what I mean by that is, one, I think we're already seeing the Democratic Party, even the most establishment guy on the planet, Joe Biden, is seeing the tide shift. I don't think we're going to get another Bill Clinton, at least in the next upcoming 40, 50 years, which maybe that's optimistic. But I think even the most establishment people see that they can read the room. And with that, if we have Democrats recognizing that, if we have Republicans lowered in power, then we can actually see climate change reform. And then I think it would be reasonable to see the situation that Prime was curious about, where we have this neoliberal approach to climate change be not the approach the U.S. is pushing. Secondly, and I'll try to finish up here. I think one of the best ways we can deal with climate change is giving more power to the global South. We need to bring forth the vision of the non-aligned movement from like the early Cold War. We need
Everybody loves depression pizza.
If
So
global
good.
South countries, for example, were able to say, no, we're not going to give you the resources for like Swiss chocolate or oil or whatever, and they're able to pressure us, I think that would be ideal for the world. But we need those countries to get stronger. I don't know if we're going to be in that position anytime soon, but if that could happen, then I think we will see. If the third world pushes climate change reform, I think we're going to see more equitable and good and better plans.
Nathan, can I ask you a question?
Not liking
sure.
Brento Box at all. I don't think he gives a shit about the environment.
And I won't hold, because this is kind of.
I think all he cares about is pumping out more oil.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give your vision of the solution to this, the probability of happening? 10, you think it's 100% probable. Not that it's going to happen, you think it's probable. 1, you think it's totally improbable because it's a fantasy.
7. 100% 7. Because I know it's an uphill battle. It's a struggle. But
You should probably put it below 5 then.
You gotta have the mindset. The Sigma grind set. You can't go into situations where you think you're gonna lose. I could get in the ring with Floyd Mayweather right now, and you know what would happen? I'm gonna beat the fuck out of him because I'm just built like that.
You're not helping your argument.
So I know, but the point being, in all seriousness, we don't really have a choice of whether we're going to deal with climate change. So, considering the many different factors from a much more progressive young generation, from the fact that boomers, frankly, are less. They're less over time, and following different patterns we've seen in American politics, at least, where there's these huge political shifts every 40
Nathan
years.
Galang just nails it, man.
In my opinion,
I definitely
want to
have him on our stream.
And a generation which deeply cares about climate change. And the fact that
Hell,
China
I'd love
is
to have Prime
showing
on our
us,
stream.
I don't like China. I'm a lot like Sneaky here, but there's a lot of things we can learn from them. Number one, manufacturing is deeply
like I paying to invest in transitioning other countries away from fossil fuels. It really sounds to me like still upholding like the system that got us to this place, like the capitalist system, the system of consumption. Let's transition all those factories in the global South to green energy, to continue making all the garbage that ends up in the ocean, to continue making all, and like let's move like the farms over to like, nuclear energy to like, farm the animals, but the methane is still going to be being produced, and so it feels funny to be seeing here about it can like, is it okay to do this? Is it moral to do this as a global hegemon? Is it our obligation to do this? When I'm like, I don't even think that that's the right path at all.
Right.
That it really feels to me like taking like pointing the finger elsewhere a little bit,
Okay, can I go? I just want to say, I think that is 100% correct, and it's, it's like we are having all these discussions about like, well, if we had to go to war with this country, and if we had to kill this was brought up, it's not hyperbole. If we had to kill 99% of the people on the earth to stop global warming, well, then maybe we would have to do it. Like, this is a fucking movie. Like, this is just like, this is ridiculous. It's like apparently we can go to war and we can like subjugate the global south and we can do all these horrible things, you know, to stop climate change, but no one can go outside and like pick up fucking trash, right? No one can stop, you know, I don't know, going on cruises and things like that. No, we're not having a real legitimate discussion about what we can all do in a realistic way under our own power to like fix things. No, we have to talk about like tearing down the corporations and going to war about countries in the global south and blah blah blah.
I'm here to tear down the corporations.
Oh no, I
believe
understand
that on an individual level, we can recycle, we can transition to electric cars. It's not gonna fucking do it. It's not gonna fucking do it.
I'm for degrowth, Brento. I agree with your position that we should be like consuming less and like as much as like the like, you know, if you don't recycle, you're a bad person thing is a bit of a scam. Like we definitely should like not be consuming the way we are. Like I'm all for that, but like the biggest part of this issue is the global south and like the pollution that the global south does and like how we resolve that.
Okay.
But it's not the global south doing that pollution. Like it's
it's like how we have
north.
It's like how we have trapped the global south into polluting, right?
Okay.
Like that's it, right? Like the system is set up in such a way by the global north that the global south is in a position where it pollutes more.
Yeah. And so it doesn't seem to me like we should like just the global north should then just, you know, transition their powers to being, you know, green in there or whatever like we decide that is good enough, you know. It's still they're still there causing the issues, you know. It's like okay, sorry.
No. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, we're happen to be in a level 1 hype train. If you're watching, we're in a level 1 hype train. Let's 3 minutes left on the clock. 40% done. 57% left. Can we get to level 2 hype train? I can't truly adjust like I would usually do right at this very second. But help us out. Help us get to a level 2 hype train. Keep the hype train going. While we give an outro. So to my audience, we are going to continue on with its content. Into our open walk-on panel. It's coming up right after this. So stick around. If you
guys, if you haven't subscribed to Prime, hop over to Prime's channel, subscribe to him. We're gonna help him with his hype train. He's a badass motherfucker. I love Prime. He's doing these things for us. So please go over there, hit that subscribe, follow, whatever. Just get up on his shit, man. He's worth checking out. Like he's the reason that I'm doing this shit tonight. Like I love the dude. He's awesome.
YouTube is where we have all the VODs. So if you're looking for the VODs, these things, they'll exist on YouTube, not on Twitch.
DJ Mike, we up for you guys? You guys seeing us move?
Our YouTube page, right? And yeah, we have a minute and a half left. Can we get to level 2 hype train? Can we get to level 2 hype train in a minute and a half? Keep this hype train going, right? So help us out. Now's the time. We're gonna give outros to these amazing individuals. But yeah. So remember, this is September. So 20% off new subs, right? So if you're new to this channel and you decide to finally sub to invest in our community, now's the time because you get 20% off. And if you're gifting sub, you'll get 20% off. Thank you, Karma Julie, for gifting another 5 high tone gifts to the channel. Saving that hype train. It's awfully kind of you. Putting us at level 2 hype train. Really kind of you. But yes.
DJ 427, I was bumping your music earlier tonight when we opened.
Please support the channel. Now's the time.
You're such a great DJ, man. Right. I love the work
we'll
you do.
Outros to everyone, and I'll jump in to like keep the hype train going. So I'll just let you know that, right? But first, we'll start with.
If you haven't checked him out, check out DJ Hanzarelli.
Thank you for being here.
He's a fucking machine.
How did you enjoy it? And tell a little about yourself.
How did I enjoy the small council? Yo, I'm a small council member, but not a mod. What's going on here? Hold on, Prime. No, you promised me. You said no. I'm just kidding.
Not even a mod.
Just,
Kidding.
Seriously, I love being on every single one of these panels. I've enjoyed every single one of them. It's so fucking fun being here. So thank you for inviting me, because you've made my day. I told my coworkers, I was like, I'm getting off at 4:30, and you're not telling me otherwise because I got shit to do. All right, and you know what they didn't know is I was gonna come here. And anyway, thank you so much. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch, Captain A Jones, as you see it right there, spelled out.
Captain A Jones's link is in the chat, and that's awfully nice. Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, and we're so happy that you're here in this community. We have less than 3.5 minutes left on the clock. 20% done, 80% left. Can we get to a level 3 hype train? Support the channel, subs to the channel, gift bits, gift subs, all that stuff. Or if you have the resub ready to pop, use that resub within the channel. It helps the hype train as well. Continue your sub. If you're so lucky as to have been gifted a sub, please consider continuing your sub now and helping out this hype train, keeping it going. We have less than 3 minutes on the clock. Can we get to a level 3 hype train? Let's see if that's a possibility. Next up is Spoon. Spoon slash Sneaking Debate Man. He is an illustrious mod here. He's finally back to this channel. So happy to have him around. One of the best. Captain A. Jones, thank you for the sub. It's awfully kind of you. 30% done, 67% left. Can we get to a level 3 hype train? Thank you for that. 2.5 minutes on the clock. Can we make it there? But yeah, Spoon, thank you for your being around, for being the bad guy, right? I love that, right? And thank you for being my henchman. We'll always love you being around here and being a part of this community. Go ahead.
Yeah, just here defending the mod tyranny, and I'll have you know a head mod. Okay, head mod. I'm just taking that title. I'm claiming it. But yeah, no. Yeah, in reference to the topic, like I do think the exploitation of the global south is a bad thing, and I wouldn't like to see a green revolution which perpetuates that. Like that kind of defeats the point of it to me. And I think the green revolution is a great opportunity for us to revolutionize the way in which we function, like our global economy functions, and like how the global north relies on the exploitation of the global south, and how we could put that to an end with green energy and like foreign investments and developments and stuff like that. I will perpetually defend the lib-left neocon position. Okay, I will bite the bullet, and you know what? I got 2 of them to bite the bullet tonight. I got 2 of them. All right, that's a win for me. So I'll forever defend that position, and I know I'm right deep in my heart of hearts. But in all seriousness, we don't have to do that. Like, it doesn't have to be the way. You know, there's many other ways that we can do it, and most people are going to be happy to accept these investments. So let's peace first, war later.
Thank you so much. We have less than a minute left in the chat. Can we get to a level 3 hype train? Subs to the channel. Gift bits, gift subs. Now, this is how we support all of this that we're doing here, right? Thank you so much for those who've helped out so far. But let's see if we can get to level 3 hype train. 67% left. Can we make it in less than a minute? Yeah, this is the British Empire spreads not in simply land, but in hearts and minds.
In the mind.
Captain A. Jones, thank you for the second sub. We have 45%, 55% left. Less than 30 seconds on the clock. Can someone save the hype train? Or someone's save the hype train? Thank you, Captain A. Jones, for your kindness. We're almost there. Let's see if we can make it to a level 3 hype train. Okay. Next, we have Nathan Galang. Nathan, thank you for being here. Another of our illustrious mods. You guys are ranking yourselves. I will not do that. It will not end it well for me. So, Nathan, wherever you fall into that.
Here are my socials. There you go. Well, I mentioned earlier that UN panel I was watching. I feel like that was really the Prime is the evolution of that panel. Prime is the evolution of the UN. So it's some of the most eloquent speakers on there were the Filipino guests. So I'm glad we're all kind of continuing the tradition here. I enjoyed the time here. I like being a mod. Some of the most eloquent speakers on there, being a mod, being part of the community is great. I'm trying to set up a debate with a conservative guy for Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday. I'm trying to talk to him. I'm waiting for a response. It's a pleasure to be part of this community. My socials are in the chat. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that's all I gotta say for now.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much, Nathan, for being a part of this and all that. All right, let's go to Jason Society. Thank you for the bits, Jason Society.
For sure. I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me on your platform. I mean, both in the open, the walk-on panels, and doing this closed panel. It's really I've been watching for quite a while, so like to actually be able to engage is really cool. So I appreciate that. I definitely agree that, you know, the global south is being totally screwed by the global north, and we've got to do better. And if we want any kind of climate change resolution, it's got to start with our ability to work with these other countries to help them realize and fulfill their obligations to our environment, just like we're trying to. Outside of that, you can catch me at twitch.tv and Jason_society, on Twitter at twitter.com/JasonSociety, and on Facebook at, if anybody still uses that, at facebook.com/JasonSociety. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Brento Box, one of my favorite guests, honestly. Love having this guy around. I'm so happy that he decided to spend a bit of his evening with us. It could be doing anything else, right? Literally anything else. It could be conquering nations now. But he decided, you know what? I'm going to conquer minds.
One Twitch panel at a time.
Exactly. Thank you, Brento Box, for coming through and being around and sharing your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invite. I really like the topic. I think the topic's at like the root of a lot of problems and like a lot of issues that, you know, I guess that the world faces. You could say the West, you could say America, you could say anything, but I think it's a major issue, and it's going to be a bigger issue. And I just think my answer, which is generally consumption and needless, meaningless waste, I think is one of the biggest issues. And I think it's I think if we can deal with that, I mean,
Is anybody else having trouble hearing people on the panel?
What I'm saying here, but I don't feel like what I'm going to say is going to have too profound a meaning. But thank you for having me on. I do feel like that's at the root of it. So thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Maybe try refreshing your feed.
Sunny.
DJ?
Yet another mod. We got a lot of them here. And we appreciate every single one of them to do a lot for the community. Yeah. I think 3 is a good number here. Maybe no more. Continuing on. Thank you, Sunny, for joining in. For like being so excited and just like, you know, I want this demanding to be a part. Channel, right? I'm like, I don't want to fuck this lady, right? So, I immediately caved.
Thank you for letting me on. I hope I rose to your expectations.
Absolutely.
And thanks everyone for engaging with me. I really do love to talk about this topic. It was nice to talk to some of you that I haven't talked to very much on here. Y'all are real cool. Yeah, I'm another mod here. I'm hoping to start streaming soon and I know I've said that literally since I showed up on the channel. Oh my god, it's insufferable. But like I'm actually moving now. Like in a couple days I'll be in a new space. So I'm telling you, I'm going to start. So go and follow me and hopefully like catch the first stream. But regardless, I'll be here. I'm always here. Being annoying in chat. So yeah, come say hi. Thanks again, Prime.
Absolutely. All right. Next we have Adam/Top Dolphin. Really glad you were able to make it. At first, like that wasn't gonna happen, but you were one of my first invites because, as always, you're a top tier guest there, Adam. So thank you for coming through and being a part of this. Yeah, top tier guest who knows how to work his mic. Absolutely. All right. Cream of the crop.
Can you hear me now? Are we good?
Yeah, I can hear the shit.
I said thanks for having me. I'm glad to be invited since it seems like he only invites his mods to panels, right? But yeah, find me at twitch.tv/TopDolphin. The only last thing I kind of want to say is that like, I think when I brought up the vaccine thing, it's kind of like good and bad. It's like, if we can convince Americans to invest in something, like I wholly believe we have the infrastructure, the ability to conquer this problem. It's just about changing minds and hearts, and hopefully panels like Prime help that. And that's why you should give your subs to him. But thanks for having me. Twitch.tv/TopDolphin, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Links in chat for all these amazing individuals. Okay, so we are going to continue to our open welcome panel. Right after this, sneaky debate, man. I think there might be some people want to yell at you. I'm not sure if you have it in there, but some people want to yell at you for your takes, and properly, because I mean, like, they're good people. So they just
and the shit takes.
Yeah, and the shit takes.
Ouch. Ouch.
So, stick around if you'd like, because anyone here can join us. But if not, that's okay. They can spend your time, your energy, your knowledge, and your passion with my community. I know they appreciate just as much as I do. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.